Have you ever been around a guy and just felt like something about him is off? But of course you ignored it because you didn't want to think about it and you thought it was nothing until it was something. Well, what if I told you I can help you ensure that that feeling in your stomach is actually real and you don't have to be confused about it? Well, if you don't believe me, join me on today's show where we'll be discussing 10 major red flags you should never ignore in a man. That way, never again do you ignore that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach that is telling you something is really off about this guy. Let's start off with point number one, which is about interest. Now, when it comes to guys, this can be very easy to miss. And you might think, oh, I'm with the little shy boy, so, he's kind of just only thinking about me, only worried about me. That's all he's ever going to have on his mind. No, that's actually really bad. See, if you meet a guy and you're asking him, what do you like to do? How do you like to spend your time? Where do you like to go, right? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? And he's sitting there and he's telling you, to be honest with you, I don't really have any passions. I'm not really interested in anything in particular. I don't really do much outside of go to work. Horrible, 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 major red flag, okay? Let me explain to you why this becomes a red flag very quickly, even though it sounds like I'm with a nice little shy boy who will only pay attention to me. In a man's life, okay? In a healthy lifestyle, what should be happening is a man has 100% of his, we'll say time and energy, but let's focus on energy for right now, okay? In the process of him having only 100% of his time and energy, right, he's going to allocate that energy, a certain percentage of that to different things, right? So he might allocate 10% here to music. Maybe he has a passion for listening to music. He loves that. He might allocate 30% of his energy to the gym. He might allocate another 10% to video games. Let's be real, actually. Let me be real, actually. It's a man here. So we might say he does 20% for video games, right? We might say for fashion, he does another 5%. Maybe he can't really dress right. Let's say for football, he does like 40%, something crazy like that. And for art, maybe like 2%. Okay, I know it doesn't add up to 100%, but you get my gist. The reason I'm bringing this as an example is because this is what life looks like, right? As a human being with a healthy life, you have different places in which you allocate your time and energy, right? And they're all going to be different for each and every one of us. Now, when you have passions, when you have hobbies as a guy, where this is what should be happening, you're going to allocate that time and that energy to those things in your life, okay? And that's a good thing. His life is not only meant to be spent thinking and doing and acting for you in the relationship. He's meant to be doing and care about other things. Let me tell you why this ends up being a super major red flag when he allocates no time and energy to anything else in his life, okay? Are we all on the same page? Let me make sure. Am I getting the, are you guys here with me on the TikTok chat? Because the TikTok chat's not showing up on my screen. Okay, you guys good on the TikTok chat? Let me know if thumbs up, you guys are good on the TikTok chat, okay? So the reason that this is really important, right, is because when you get to a place where you realize this guy doesn't have any interests, he doesn't have any hobbies, he doesn't have any passions, you're now susceptible to being with a guy who will eventually have an idle mind. We actually watched a little bit of a glimpse of this in a video that we watched. It was a horror story that we watched of a TikToker. It was on the last show where she was describing how her man developed a adult movie watching addiction because of the fact he had no job, he had no school, he really didn't have many friends, and he had a lot of time on his hands, right? This is why I say this becomes very dangerous, right? If you end up with a man who has way too much time on his hands, I promise you, he will likely get into something nefarious, okay? He'll fall prey to some sort of temptation. He'll start doing some things that are really weird and really strange because the way that the human mind works, especially for men, their mind has to be working on something. If their mind isn't working on something or towards something or with something, it's not occupied with something, it will find something to occupy itself with, okay? It's the same reason why your parents always told you that they don't want you roaming the streets at night, right? It's not just because it's dangerous, it's also because they understand the moment you're on the street and you're just looking for something to do, that's exactly when you'll get into trouble, okay? Someone said, class said in the YouTube chat, an idle mind is the devil's playground. Precisely, that is what I am saying, right? That's exactly what that saying is saying in this, right? So you want your man to have interests, to have passions, to have hobbies. These are things that should be taking up his time, should be taking up his energy, okay? When men have too much excess energy, they start getting weird. They start getting strange. They start looking for things to do, okay? Your man should not be looking for things to do. He should have things that he already enjoys doing, okay? So very important. You ever go on a date and a guy's trying to convince you, I don't have any things that I like to do. I don't have any passions. I don't have any hobbies. You say, okay, perfect. Thank you. Now I know I don't even want to get involved in a relationship with you, because what's going to happen when you're not around, when you have things that you want to do, when you have friends that you want to hang out with, and then he has nothing going on in his life, no one to spend his time with, no places to go. He's going to look for some things to get into, and then things get ugly from there, okay? Let's hop into our point number 2. Hope we're all on the same pagey. Hope we all on the same pagey. Okay? Any of you confused about that? Let me know if you confused about anything that we just discussed there. So for point number 2 here, I'm gonna explain it to you like this, okay? This one's kind of funny. So point number 2, and we'll do this. We're gonna draw a big-headed man here. He's kind of balding, okay? Kind of balding. And we're going to draw him with his, we'll draw him like this with a big pointer finger. And we'll do this like that and like that. And you guys will see what I mean when we get to the point here. Okay? So we'll do this like that and like that. Perfect. Okay. So let me describe this second point to you. For point number 2, we're going to discuss haters. When you meet a guy, and you have to start observing, I should say, how he talks about other people and his own life. So you might notice, right, one of the common conversations you're going to have is your past relationship and his past relationship. That's not an uncommon thing to talk about. Listen, though, to how he's describing his ex. Like, listen to what he says and how he says it. Now, on a broader scale, also listen to what he says about his family, about his friendships, and things like that. What are you listening for when you're listening to that? You're listening to if he considers himself a victim in basically every circumstance. So as he's going through his life and he's describing things, you'll start to notice a theme. Whether he's someone that says, you know, yeah, things happen and there was this situation and, you know, it didn't work out and some of these things were my fault, and you'll start to hear him take accountability. Now, on the flip side, if this is going to be a major red flag, you'll start to hear guys who have a problem taking accountability will make everyone in their life sound like a hater. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Guys who have this major red flag that I want you to avoid will make everyone else in their life sound like a complete hater. Oh, my mom, oh my God, she's the worst. Everything she does, she's always screaming at me, yelling at me, taking advantage of me. She's always trying to tell me what to do. She's dropping things. Chat, I'm dropping things. I'm spilling things. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, chat. I'm spilling my whole water and everything. Right? Okay. So let's say, for example, right, he's talking about, oh, my mom, she's always yelling, she's always screaming, she's always telling me what to do, she's always saying that I don't do the right thing, and she doesn't have any idea what she's talking about. She's just such a toxic mom. I can't believe I have her as a mom. Anyone would be better than her. My dad this, my brother that, right? Oh, my friends, they're not friends with me anymore. It's not because of me. They just started spreading rumors about me. Okay, that's a big one that a lot of people will say who have this red flag. They'll say people are spreading rumors about me. Nothing of what they say is true. They just make up these rumors out of thin air and they start spewing them about me, and it makes me sad because I don't know where they get this idea of me, right? And this is how they'll talk. This is how they'll talk about themselves. This is how they'll talk about their lives. This is how they'll talk about everyone around them. Everyone in their life is a hater, okay? Every single person. They're all haters. Now, why is this such a big major red flag? If he thinks that everyone else is at fault in his relationships, in his friendships, everyone that he's involved with, what do you think is going to happen in your relationship with you? Are you following me? If he doesn't believe he's at fault for anything that's transpired in any of his other friendships, with any of his other family members, in any of these other situations, why on earth do you think when a situation happens between you and him, when you guys go through an argument or a disagreement or a fight, why would he all of a sudden choose to now start taking accountability for anything that he's done? He's never believed in any situation that he's in the wrong. He's always been of the belief that everyone else is a hater towards him. So sooner or later, right, I saved this space for you. You will be right here. This is you, okay? Right? That'll be you. You will be right here in this box here alongside all the other haters. Why will you be in this box? Because he's never believed that any of these situations that he's been through are his fault. He's never believed that he needs to take accountability of everything because people are spreading rumors. People just don't like him. People just don't appreciate him for what he's done for them. They don't understand him. He's so misunderstood, right? It's all everyone's fault. So you don't want to get into the trap of investing your time and energy into building a relationship with someone who is never going to be able to take accountability. Because by the time you get into the relationship with him and you realize he takes no accountability, you'll be really frustrated. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Well, the only answer is to break up with him. Okay, let's hop into point number 3. Point number 3. Okay, let's do this like this. Let's do this like this. Point number 3. Okay. There we go. Point number 3. Oops. Oopsie. Spelt that one a little bit wrong. There we go. This one is going to require a little bit of extra drawing on my part, so please forgive me for the extra bad drawing that I'm going to do here, because rest assured, I am not an artist. So we'll do this. We'll give you a little ponytail here, and we'll do this like this. I'm drawing this to tell a story, and you'll understand why I'm telling this story this way, okay? And why this is important, okay? So let's do this. Wait, what the heck? Oh, okay, let's do this like this. So we'll give you a plate here. We'll give him a plate here. And chat, this is gonna look funny, don't worry. We'll put the waiter up here. We'll give him like a top hat, okay? Waiter's got a top hat. And we'll give him a plate right there, okay? So let's say this, waiter. Okay. Perfect. Top hat for our waiter. So, point number 3, okay? For point number 3, we're gonna discuss apologies, okay? So, what I want you to understand here is when it comes to this major red flag, pay attention to how a guy is either capable or incapable of apologizing when he knows he's in the wrong, okay? So, for example, let's say you are at a restaurant, and at this restaurant here, right, the waiter is supposed to bring, let's say for the sake of example, your man orders a steak, and he orders his steak medium rare. And when the waiter brings the steak to the table, let's say for the sake of example, the steak that is medium rare, let's say he's really upset about it, right? He says, wait a second, this steak is medium rare. And then the waiter's like, yeah, the steak's medium rare because you ordered a medium rare steak. And then the waiter says, no, yeah, you ordered a medium rare steak. And then your guy says, oh, no, actually, I didn't order a medium rare steak. I ordered medium well, let's just say, or well done. And the waiter's like, no, you said medium rare, so I brought medium rare. And then you're like, no, you did say medium rare. That's why he bought medium rare, not well done. So let's say for the sake of example, that's the case here. And you're saying, and he's saying, you actually said the wrong thing. This is where I want you to pay attention. How capable is he of apologizing when he knows that he's wrong, or he realizes that he's in the wrong? The reason that this can be such an important red flag or a major red flag is because if you find yourself in a situation where your guy or the guy you're talking to is very, very against admitting whenever he's wrong, you will not be in a very happy long-term relationship, okay? So I'm giving this example as a way of describing what might happen if you're with a guy that has one of these red flags, where in the situation in which he's clearly the one in the wrong, rather than just saying, you know what, I apologize, I was wrong, I admit I probably said the wrong thing, I misspoke, can I get a well done steak instead of a medium rare, can you cook it a little bit more? These are the moments where you have to be looking out and thinking to yourself, how is this going to translate into a relationship? Because a guy who finds it very difficult to admit when he's wrong, just in the scenario of bringing the wrong steak, is also going to find it very difficult to admit he's wrong as it relates to your actual relationship. Okay, someone said, who eats well done steak? I'm sure a lot of people eat well done steak, right? Do people eat well done steak, right? That happens. That happens. Something is off with my my TikTok is not showing up on the screen. I might have to restart this. TikTok chat, join me on YouTube, because I don't know what's going on with my TikTok. It's just ever since a couple of weeks ago, I just can't get it to work right properly. You guys might have to join me on YouTube on TikTok. I can't with this screen here. I can't see anything. That's the problem. Okay, you guys might have to join me on YouTube there. Okay, sorry TikTok. I love you guys, but I had to. It's just very weird. It's very weird. I have to figure out what's going on with that. Okay, let's hop into point number 4 while I prepare. Hopefully TikTok chat gets a chance to join us. Sorry TikTok chat, I just can't. The screen is frozen. I can't see anything. It's like all weird. I can't keep track of anything that way. Maybe I have to try going live from a different device other than my computer. Point number 4. Yep, let's do point number 4. Okay. That's 4, right? We're on point number 4. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. We'll say this. Let me go grab something. Let me grab a napkin. I don't want to erase with my eraser. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. You ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. I gotta have an eraser around here somewhere. Okay. There we go. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. You ain't got no energy, you ain't popping. Perfect. Okay. Point number 4 here. We're going to discuss this right here. So we have the goal here, and we're going to draw a little bit of a road here. We're going to draw the man out here. And you'll see what these are eventually. Let me just draw 2. Make the most sense with 2. I'm dropping a bunch of stuff today, chat. I'm dropping everything today. Okay, so for point number 4, we're going to discuss being undecided as it relates to a red flag that you should be paying attention to. Why is being undecided such a red flag? Because you, as a woman, you need to make sure you're with a guy who has direction. You're with a guy who knows where he wants to go. I always talk to you guys about direction. I say direction over and over again. Why? Because it's such an important character trait to be having in a man. Now, let me describe to you what I mean by undecided, because it's not just saying, oh, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? When I say undecided, I'm also talking about like, where does he want to be living? What does he want his family to look like? Does he want to be married or does he not want to be married? Does he want children? Does he not want children? Does he want to keep working at the company that he's at, or does he want to totally change career paths, right? These questions you might think to yourself, oh, for sure, the guy that I'm talking to will definitely have these answers. He'll definitely know how he feels about this. He'll definitely know what he wants as it relates to this, because that's what you assume, right? But the reality of it is there's a lot of men, in fact, majority of men, right? They don't really even have a goal, right? So they don't even know what they're shooting for. They're still kind of just playing it by ear. That's honestly going to be majority of the guys that you'll meet. The reason that's so bad and it's such a red flag is because if he doesn't have a goal, right, there's no way for him to move forward in any positive direction, right? Direction, again, is the key word. And instead, he'll kind of be wandering and just hoping that things will work out. The problem with hoping that things will work out is they never do when you're just hoping, right? Unless you have an actionable plan, you're never going to get to any particular destination except one that you're probably not going to like. And this is the part that is so important about dealing with the guy who's undecided versus dealing with the guy who has direction. You will never be able to successfully get to where you want to go if you don't first know where you want to go. And you, as a woman, are obviously going to be following your man's lead. Not that you do everything that your man does, but in the sense that, like, if he has no idea what he wants to do, where he wants to go, how he wants to live his life, it's not going to be your job to be like, all right, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, we're doing that, because that would be you existing in your masculine energy, which we don't want you to do. So these are the things that can become major points of contention if you're not very aware of them early on. Okay, this is where I don't want to get upset. Do not think to yourself, oh, I'm just with a shy guy, so I'm going to let it go and not address things and not care too much and not get too upset because he's one of these shyer type of guys that I don't want to press, and, you know, I don't want to be overbearing, and I just feel like because he's shy, because he's innocent, he's not going to have all the answers, and it's okay because I'm with a different type of guy and I'm going for a different... No. Okay, being shy is not cute. All right, that's not a quirk. And when I say being shy, I mean being shy from the perspective of like, oh, he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do. He's not like these other super dominant guys. He's just kind of like a shy guy, just kind of like in the cut, you know, just kind of chilling, right? Being shy in the sense of like, okay, he's not super outgoing, he's not super loud and boisterous, right, is very different from being undecided. You can still be someone who's a little bit more quiet, but is still very decided and sure of where you want to go, right? Of having direction, of what you want for your life, of where you want to live, right? Even small things that seem very insignificant, like where do you want to live, can become points of contention for you in the relationship that can cause big issues. If you want to live in, let's say, New York, and he wants to live in Miami, well, how are you guys going to do that? Is he going to live in Miami while you live in New York? Or are you going to move to New York and be miserable while he's super happy? Or is he going to be in New York with you while he's miserable, right? These are things that when you talk to a guy, there needs to be a goal, right? There needs to be a place that's being shot for, I should say, right? That is being aimed for. If there's not, you're going to have major, major issues. And you're likely dealing with a man that will lead you to nowhere, lead you to absolutely nowhere, okay? Let's hop into point number, what point number is this? This is point number 5, okay? Hopefully I don't drop no more things today. No more things getting dropped today. Point number 5 here. You guys will laugh at this one. This is funny. Okay. So we're going to draw you and your beautiful face here. Beautiful, beautiful face. And then you have a short body today. Then we're going to draw him. And we're going to draw his stick figure body. He's going to be looking at you. He's going to be yapping, right? And then we're going to draw all of these people behind him. Okay, just like this. All right, so let's have a conversation about this here. Oops, say you here, and then your man, and then others. So for point number 5, we're going to talk about being nasty. Now, I'm not talking about the good kind of nasty that you'll enjoy in the bedroom. I'm talking about the nasty in the sense of the things that come out of his mouth, not dirty talk, okay? When you meet a guy and you start hearing how he talks about people behind their back, this is a very important key element to pay attention to that can become a major red flag. If this guy is constantly always spewing very nasty things about people that you're like, wait, isn't that your friend? Aren't you close to that guy? You hang out with that guy every weekend. Why are you talking about him like that? You're going to say that about your mother? You're going to say that about your dad, your brother, your cousin? You're going to talk like that about these people that you're supposedly supposed to be close with, you're supposedly supposed to have a bond with, you're supposedly supposed to love? These are the things you have to really set your alarm bells off and say, oh, this is very bad, okay? And I might have to reconsider being in a relationship with this guy, because you cannot allow yourself to be of the belief that the way someone acts with you is not the same way they might act when they're away from you. And the same way he talks nasty about his mom or his brother or his best friend is not the same way he will eventually start talking nasty about you to other people, right? When you're not around. And it's harder to think and imagine that, because when you're with someone, you think, oh yeah, he's just talking crap about these other people, but he would never talk crap about me because I'm amazing, right? It's easy to kind of fill your ego with that thought. But the reality of it is the same person that will talk super nasty to you about people that he's supposed to be close with and he supposedly loves in his life is the same way he will eventually talk nasty about you, even though he supposedly loves you, cares for you, and cherishes you, right? So be paying attention to that, because that's a personality trait. That's a character trait. That's not like something where it happens, once in a while or just in these special circumstances or situations. When someone has that personality, that is their personality. And you have to accept that as the truth, because when you get into a situation where you're now his girlfriend and you're wondering why maybe his mom thinks really horribly of you, or she views you in a terrible light, or you're wondering why does his sister hate you so much? Why do some of his best friends treat you like trash and always talk down on you? And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, they're just haters. Or you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I must be a horrible person, not realizing that your own partner that you love and care about is going behind your back and talking such crazy, nasty trash about you to all of his loved ones and all the people in his inner circle, no wonder why they hate you so much. No wonder why they all have a problem with you. No wonder why they look at you with disgust, because he's talking nasty about you behind your back. And at that point, you won't be able to control the monster that forms, okay? So be paying attention to that, very important. Let's hop into point number 6, okay? Sorry for those of you who are joining me on TikTok that like watching on TikTok. I'm gonna try and get the TikTok issue resolved. My account's just been very strange. I even had to make a new account. That's so crazy how strange it's been. Let's hop into point number 6 here. Damn, we flying by these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we on 6. Okay. Okay, that's very fast. All right. Let's do this. Okay. And we're gonna draw this beautiful woman like that. We actually, for the purpose of the visual, we're gonna have her, we're gonna give her a BBL. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. That's gonna make the most sense for this visual here. Okay, then we're gonna draw you. You don't have a BBL. You're BBL-less. Okay, you BBL-less. You here. I'm gonna draw you with the frown actually, because you're gonna be mad about this. You won't like this. You won't like this. And then we're gonna draw your guy here. Okay. So we'll say you, and you're mad. Okay. Very important. For point number 6, we're gonna discuss comparison. Now, if you ever get into a situation with a guy that you find on a regular basis, he's always talking to you about what his ex did for him and how, the things that you do are just a little bit different. And maybe he would kind of like you to kind of do more things like how his ex did them for him. Or, the way she dressed, the way she acted was a little bit different. And he'd probably like you to lean towards that. Let me give you like an example of that that's really extreme, just so you can kind of take it in, right? Let's say for the sake of example, his ex was like goth or something, okay, right? She's a goth girl with a BBL. She's goth with a BBL. For whatever reason, all right? And that's her aesthetic, that's her look. She's always wearing fishnets, always wearing dark colors, dark everything. She's got a dark soul, dark spirit, okay? And that's how her aesthetic is. That's how she liked to dress. And you find on a regular basis, right? He's telling you, yeah, my ex, she used to dress goth. She used to wear her hair super dark, super black, black nail polish, black everything, black shoes, black everything. And I would love, even though your aesthetic is a little bit more cutesy, you like to wear dresses, you like to be flowy, you like to dress like a girly girl. I would love maybe if you would try wearing more fishnets. I would love maybe if you would try wearing more dark colors. I would love maybe instead of doing your French tip fingernails, I would love instead if you did black, all black, right? And so this, even in itself, can be indirect comparison, right, to his ex-girlfriend or one of his exes. And it kind of becomes obvious after a while when a guy's trying to like turn you into his ex, or everything that you do, everything that you say, every way that you dress, he's always making it in comparison to his ex, right? A lot of times when guys still have strong feelings, right? This is why it becomes a major red flag. When guys have strong feelings for an ex, that's usually when they go out into the dating market and they try to turn a girl into their ex, or they try to find a girl who is so close to their ex that they can kind of get the same feeling out of that relationship, okay? That's not what you're supposed to be doing when you're going out into the dating market. You're not supposed to be trying to find someone who's so closely related to or like your ex, that you're basically in the same relationship. That shouldn't be what you're attempting to do, okay? So, but sometimes guys will go out into the dating market unhealed. They'll go out into the dating market still having love and appreciation and affection for their ex, and affinity, I should say, also for their ex, and then they'll end up, meaning you, and then trying to slowly but surely turn you into their ex or convince you to be more like their ex. This is why, and you're probably thinking, okay, well, how can I avoid this? This is actually why I always say, ask a lot of questions about the ex, because some guys might not be so direct as to say, I want you to wear fishnets and be goth like my ex. But what he might say is, hey, you know, I love it if you wear more fishnets. Hey, I love it if you started dressing and wearing darker colors more. Maybe wear this type of skirt. Maybe do your hair this type of way. And if you are void of the context of what his ex looked like and what she dressed like and what she acted like, you might just think he's just asking you to do that for whatever reason, not realizing that he's really asking you to do that because his ex dressed exactly like that, because his ex looked exactly like that, because his ex did exactly that, and he's trying to slowly but surely turn you into her. Okay, so very important to have that information in your mind so you know which one it is. Okay, are we all on the same page here? Okay, Kendall said, can someone tell me if I'm watching in real time? Did he just talk about strong feelings? Strong feelings for an ex? You are watching in real time. This is very live. Okay, why do people think that it's pre-recorded? Why is that? Is it because it's like clear, or is it just like they just can't believe that someone would do this live? Is it an unbelievable way to do a live stream? Maybe. But it's very live, chat. You can see all your comments. That's why I had to end the TikTok chat, because I wasn't able to see the stuff I needed to see on the screen. Okay. I'm sorry about that, TikTok viewers. Let's hop into point number 7 here, okay? Someone said very professional, very prepared. Well, today I've been spilling stuff, so not as professional, okay? But thank you, I appreciate that. Number 7. I love this one actually, because this happens a lot and we never got a chance to discuss this. I don't think we've ever really discussed something like this on the show. Okay, I'm glad that we're able to discuss this. So any of you that are still here, so glad you could join me. Please pay attention to this, because this one can really hurt you. Okay. I always draw you curly hair. Some of you with straight hair are like, you always draw the girl with curly hair. Maybe I'll start doing some straight too. Okay. And we're gonna do this. I know it looks weird, chat. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. So we'll put this like this. Okay. Monster. You monster, you. Okay. So for point number 7, we're going to discuss being a bad influence. If you meet a guy and you find, let me say it like this, you're going to have a baseline at which you operate. Yes, we all have our vices. Yes, we all have things that we get into that we probably shouldn't. We all have things that we do and participate in that we probably shouldn't be participating in. Okay? That's not unnatural. But very important to understand and recognize what is your baseline. Okay? What are you most likely to do, even the things that you do that are not so good? The reason that damn, even my pants are white, I'm getting this black stuff on my pants. It's very important to recognize, right, what it is that is your baseline, because you can only recognize if someone's being a bad influence on you if you know what your regular baseline is. Let me explain more so you understand what I really mean here. The major red flag is when you meet a man and you realize that he's getting you to do a lot more negative stuff than you're regularly accustomed to. For example, let's say you smoke every once in a while. Maybe if you average it out, you probably smoke once a month, okay? If that, right? When you're out at a party, sometimes it's a vibe and then you smoke. When you meet this guy, you find that you're smoking close to every day now because most of your interactions are centered around smoking and he loves to smoke. So you guys will be in the car rolling up, right? Now all of a sudden you've gone from a girly who barely even knew how to roll rolling papers to now being an expert in rolling. And you now are able to roll the perfect J's all of a sudden because you've been spending so much time around him, learning from him and his bad influence that you've now become an expert, right? Or in some cases, it's drinking. And in some cases, it's partying. In some cases, it could be going out and taking party drugs, right? Whatever the case may be. And he becomes a bad influence on you. And you're starting to notice, oh, my habits are drastically changing for the worse being around him. That things that I never used to do, never used to get into, never used to care about, all of a sudden, I'm becoming this totally different version of myself that has totally different interests than I used to have before, right? Very important to recognize because this as a red flag is something that affects you even more actually than it affects him. Because down the line, as this guy becomes a worse and worse influence on you and you turn into this monstrosity version of yourself, right? You're gonna look back as, let's say you spent 1 year with this guy, 2 years with this guy, and you're gonna look in the mirror at yourself and what you've become, what you look like, what you feel like, what's inside your spirit, and you're gonna be disgusted with yourself. Okay, I'm gonna say that again, because it's very important. After years of being in this monster state, that will become your new baseline. But the problem is, down the line, when you look in the mirror, you'll be disgusted with yourself. This will in turn lower your confidence because when you look in the mirror, you're disgusted with yourself. You're not going to feel good about you. As your confidence lowers, right, all of the things that we want for you in having your own life, having confidence, being sexy and hot, because that attracts other people into your life, right, with good energy, but it also makes your man more and more attracted to you. All the things that come with that inner confidence, that inner security, that inner feeling of I am that girl, that goes away. Because when you look in the mirror and you see the monster with all the bad habits that you've now developed, you're not going to be able to feel like that confident, hot, sexy version of yourself, right? And things will start falling apart in your relationship. This is the craziest part as well. And this is why I should have put this earlier, because it can be such a spiral moment, right? Things can snowball so fast. This guy will introduce you to his bad habits, turn you into this monster version of yourself that's smoking every day, drinking all the time, partying all the time. Your friendships are horrible. You don't give a damn about nothing because you're always smoking and chilling out and getting nothing done, right? You've started to take on a lot of his habits. Then when you actually turn into that girl, this is the craziest part, the most insane part. The guy will turn around that led you to these habits and turned you into this person and say, yeah, you know, I'm not really as attracted to you as I once was, you know. I don't know, you know, if you're my type of girl anymore. It's just, you know, the vibes aren't vibing anymore. Or what you'll notice is he'll start paying attention to or putting a lot of his energy or flirting with or talking to girls who don't have these habits. And then you'll be resenting him and asking yourself, why the hell did you pull me into these habits only to basically be attracted to girls who don't have these habits? And you'll be like super upset, super mad because you'll feel like, well, you turned me into this and now you don't want me? That's like I literally did this because of your influence, right? And it can be really upsetting, which I understand. But this is why you need to be paying attention to these things early on. Pay attention to your baseline, right? I'm not saying you're never going to do anything wrong or get into any trouble, right? But understand what your baseline is going into a relationship. That way you know very clearly, oh no, 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 no. This is going badly. He's influencing me to do things I was never doing before in a bad way. Nothing wrong if someone begins influencing you to better yourself, but if someone begins influencing you to kind of like be a worse version of yourself, a degenerate version of yourself, down the line, you're going to hate you. And eventually, he's secretly going to hate you as well because he's not going to be attracted to that version of you. I assure you, I've seen it happen many times. Okay, right? Laura says, don't let a man change you. Exactly, right? Someone says, seriously, smoking too much ruins your brain cells. You know what? I don't smoke, but the 2 times I tried it, because I tried it just to see what it was like, it was horrible for me. Literally horrible. I'd never do it again. After those 2 times that I did it, those horrible experiences, I just, no. It's not for me, chat. Not for me, chat. I used to drink though, but smoking I never got into. Let's hop into point number, this is 8 now. This one should have actually been, damn, there were so many. I wanted to do them early, but you can only do so many. This one's a really, really important one. Okay. And I really want to discuss this with you. Okay. So we're going to put, just to make it simple, we'll do this. Bunch of circles, a bunch of NPCs. Okay, on the board. NPCs on the board. And then we do this. We gonna draw. What was that? I think that was my printer. I got weird sounds going on in the basement, chat. Okay. So we'll do this like this. The reason I want to discuss this concept with you, okay? So for point number 8, we're going to talk about no friends. I should have put this at the front because of how important this is to recognize as a major red flag. If you're dealing with a guy who has no friends, I want you to stop dealing with that guy, okay? And I know it sounds harsh because you're thinking, well, is he really in control of having no friends? Let me tell you why this ends up really bad for you. If a guy has no friends, I'm talking about like no one he can call on, no one that wants to spend time with him, no one that wants to hang around him, one of 2 things. Either he's got a really, really rigid personality that's very, very difficult to get along with, right? Or for whatever reason, he's isolated himself in his life so much from people to the point where he literally just has no one because he doesn't spend his time doing anything that anyone could even end up being friends with him, right? He's just literally isolated himself from the world, that he has no real friends because he can't cultivate any real friendships. Either way, it's a very bad sign for you, and you're not going to be able to have a successful relationship with a guy who has no friends. Let me also mention this because this is part of the reason this turns into a major red flag. If a guy, whether truthfully or maybe he's lying about it, has no friends, you have no way of understanding whether or not what he's talking to you about, telling you about himself and his life and his past experiences, you have no idea if any of that is actually true. How can you confirm that, right? Because what should be happening is when you meet a guy, you're supposed to be able to say, okay, yep, I hear what your story about your ex and how you are and the things you've been through and what you like doing. That's great. He's telling you that and you receive that information. But then when you go and meet his friends, what should be happening is you then are able to say, okay, so John, he was telling me about you and how you guys love to go to the football games. Like, yeah, me and John, we go to the games every day. Oh my God, we love football. We watch it all the time. We play it. We talk about it, our team, or this or that, right? And as he's telling you, as his friends, I should say, are telling you those stories, you're able to confirm what he's told you about himself, right? It'll become very clear to you when your understanding of who he is in very close alignment to who he actually is when you're not around, or who he's been before you met him. Because when you talk to his friends, all of that stuff will make sense. You'll be like, oh, that sounds like the guy I've been meeting. It sounds just like him. Same thing with the family, right? The problem with the no friend situation is when he's in isolation like this, you'll never get a chance to get that confirmation. You'll always constantly be feeling like, well, I guess I'll just have to believe what he says, okay, right? Not to mention, with these guys who are in deep isolation, there's usually a reason for that. And if other people find it very difficult to get along with him or make a friend out of him, how difficult do you think it'll be for you to be in a romantic relationship with him? Because it could also be meaning the fact that he has no friends and he's this isolated, that he has some sort of trait or quality that is so painful and horrible to deal with that everyone in his life just ends up abandoning him and saying, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to talk to this guy, right? And so that's something to also take notice of and think about. Men should have friends, okay? I know some of you are thinking, oh, well, I'll get the shy guy who has no friends. No, that's not a flex, okay? You're not going to be with the shy guy who has no friends. You're the guy that you meet should have at least some guy friends, okay? That like to hang out with them, like to spend some time with them. He has no friends. We're looking at some issues there, okay? Like, I should also mention too, part of having friendships is learning to cooperate with people, compromise with people, be understanding of other perspective outside of your own, right? And these are the type of things that you learn with your friendships. These are the type of skills that you cultivate with your friendships. If a guy has no friends, he's never learning or developing the skill to be able to compromise, to be able to share, to be able to listen to other perspectives other than his, to be able to apologize when he wrongs someone else, right? All of these things you learn, not just from romantic relationships, but also from your friendships as well, right? So let's hop into point number 9. Okay. We on the same page here? Okay. Someone said, I don't think those are good friends. What are you referring to? Someone else's friends? Oh, someone said, Kiwi says, I get now why my boyfriend asked me to wear glasses. His ex used the same type I do. Interesting. Let's hop into point number 9. Oh, I like this one. So I'm going to try and describe this well so that we're all on the same page. I like this one. Make sure I spell it right for the spell police. Spell police don't want me to spell this wrong. Okay. And all right. And we'll do like this. And you'll see why I'm drawing this in a second, chat. And then we'll do like this for this one. Okay, perfect. And then we're gonna call this one reaction. Okay, so point number 9 major red flags. For point number 9, we're gonna discuss anger. Now, when you meet a guy, be very aware of his inconvenience to reaction ratio, okay? I'm gonna say it again. Be aware of your man or the guy you're talking to, his inconvenience to reaction ratio. Understand, we all have roles to play in a relationship. You, as the feminine energy, you're gonna have your specific roles to play, your specific expectations and standards to live up to. Him, as a masculine energy, same thing. Now, one of the things that a masculine energy should be in a relationship is a stable force. Now, let me be very clear. I am not implying that men should not feel emotions, okay? I'm never going to imply that. I'm not implying men should not express emotions. I would never imply that, okay, or say that. But what I am saying is the way in which men react should not be in an erratic, irrational, crazy, overwhelmingly just overreactive way. because that's supposed to be left for the feminine energy, and the masculine energy is supposed to be more of a steady force that can be leaned on. That's how we're supposed to do things, okay? So the reason that I say this is because if you are dealing with a man who any small inconvenience, his reaction is to go crazy, start yelling, start screaming, start cursing, start punching walls for the smallest inconvenience, you're not with the right guy. In fact, I want you to run very far away from that guy. So let me give you an example of what that would look like. Remember how I was talking about being on a date with the guy, and let's say you're eating a medium rare steak, right? You're on this date with this guy and you guys are having conversation, and the waiter brings the wrong order, right? Something small and insignificant. He can always say, hey, that's the wrong order. Can you take that back and bring what I actually did order, right? But let's say, for the sake of example, the waiter brings the wrong order and he's cursing and screaming, oh, you effing waiter, you're such an effing idiot. I can't believe you would bring this BS to me. You're so dumb. How could you do this? This place is garbage. He's knocking on the table, screaming, yelling, knocking stuff over, right? Like, and that's his reaction to getting the wrong order to the table. Let's just say hypothetically, right? This is an example of an off ratio of inconvenience to reaction, because he can easily just say, hey, waiter, I didn't order that. I actually ordered this. Can you take that back, right? It's as simple as that. So the reaction to getting the wrong order is so much of an overreaction that, you know, this guy struggles with anger, okay? Or at least he struggles with being able to properly understand how to react to things in an appropriate manner, okay? So why does this become a major red flag for you? Because in your relationship, you have to understand, you guys are gonna go through inconveniences. Like, I hope you don't ever go into a relationship with anyone thinking that it'll always be perfect. Expect to have problems, expect to have disagreements. So the reason I say that is, at some point, your relationship will be one of those inconveniences. Whether it be because you're arguing, whether it be because you disagree on a topic, whether it be because you don't see eye to eye, you just got into a fight, it will eventually be one of the inconveniences. And if he doesn't know how to properly react in a way that allows him to be stable and allows the relationship to survive through the fact that he's upset, right? You're not going to be in this situation very long. Or if you are, you're going to be getting abused, both whether it be verbally, physically, however, right, spiritually, in this relationship, because he doesn't understand how to react in a way that's appropriate to the inconvenience, right? Once again, I'm not saying that men shouldn't feel anything or react to anything, but the way in which they react should be very much correlated to the inconvenience at hand, okay? Screaming and yelling and banging a table when a waiter gets your order wrong is not an appropriate reaction to an inconvenience of getting your order wrong, okay, right? Someone said, what's a good reaction? A good reaction to getting your order wrong is telling the waiter, hey, this is the wrong order. Can you take it back and give me this? This is what I ordered. In most countries, they will take back which they gave you, and they'll give you the right order. There's no need to throw a fit, right? Now, if they start saying, hey, we're going to make you pay for that and pay for the next thing and da-da-da-da-da, and we're not taking back your order, then maybe it's a different story. You might have to have a conversation. But still, the appropriate reaction isn't to scream and yell and bang the table like a little child, okay, throwing a tantrum. You get my point? You get my gist, right? Someone says, what if he can't admit he's angry, but distances himself? Well, that's a different story, okay, I would say, right? When I say reaction, I'm talking about, like, is the way that he reacts so over the top that he doesn't seem to be able to control his emotions at all, right? Distancing themselves, I would actually say, if you had to pick between someone who distances themselves and someone who overreacts by screaming and yelling and cursing, I'd actually say pick someone who distances themselves before you pick someone who overreacts by screaming, yelling, and cursing, okay? Not that it's a good thing, but I'm saying you can still be, someone who distances themselves can still be someone who knows how to control their emotions. But if you're dealing with someone who overreacts by screaming, cursing, and yelling, that's someone who's out of control, okay? Like, you know, that's not someone who's able to control their emotions. So the reason I'm saying that is you can deal with someone or work with someone who might get distant a little bit when they're upset. You're not going to be able to work with someone who completely freaks out or goes crazy on you whenever they get even a little bit upset, okay? Let's hop into point number 10. Point number 10. Okay, let's do this. So, this is how life should be. Right here. Let me do this sideways. Okay. Okay, this should make the most sense. Yeah. You guys will get this. You'll get it. It'll make sense. So, for number 10, we're going to discuss growth. This is something that is really important to think about whenever you're in a relationship with a guy. Start asking enough questions about his history to understand, has there been growth in his life and in his career and in his friendships? Has he grown as a person? Has he learned from his mistakes? Has he, gotten better with time? Has he gotten wiser? Is he still making the same mistakes? Is he still in the same place that he was, early on in his career, early on in his life? Is he still around the same people that have been causing him problems, right? And he never learned from those situations, or he never learned from those consequences, let's say. The reason that this is so important is because if you're dealing with someone who has no growth, okay, you will not be very happy or successful in your relationship with him, because your relationship will also have no growth, okay? The reason I drew out this graph like this is because this is what life is supposed to look like if you're dealing with a healthy man, the kind of man we want you to be in a relationship with, right? What should be happening is, as time goes on, right, you get to the point where you're learning. Yes, you're going to go through some downs. That's why I didn't draw it in a straight line, because life's not in a straight line. You're going to go through some ups. You're going to go through some downs. But generally, you're going to be correlating upwards in terms of growing, progressing, learning, becoming wiser over the course of time. Now, you might meet men that are kind of like this. They're pretty much, for the most part, the same for years. They don't grow in their career, no promotions. They don't have a plan to work anywhere else or do anything else, but they're still at the same time, barely making ends meet. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They hate their job. They hate their boss, but they won't change their job, right? They won't leave their job. They're still hanging out with the same friends. Not the same friends is bad, but let's say the friends that have gotten them into trouble. Let's say a couple of friends went to jail and he's had some issues with some of these friends that have gotten him in precarious situations because what have they been doing? And he's still friends with those people, right? Stagnation, right? Not learning from mistakes, continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again, right? When you meet men like this, as soon as you identify they're one of these men, you go ahead and you walk away from that man, okay? It's a major red flag. You will experience stagnation when you're around someone who is in stagnation, right? In their mode in life. Because remember, you as a woman, right? You're going to need your man to be a leader. He has to be in his masculine energy. If he's going to be in his masculine energy, he's going to have to be a leader. So if your man is not able to grow himself in his own life, how the hell is your relationship supposed to grow over time? Okay? What does stagnation look like in a relationship? Stagnation looks like, well, yeah, we've been dating for a year now, or we've been dating for 2 years. So who cares about focusing on the romance, right? We won't still go on dates anymore. Who cares about me complimenting you? I don't need to tell you you're pretty. I've already told you that a couple of years ago. Who cares if, we have good intimacy? Yeah, we'll just do it and it's whatever, right? Who cares if we have deep conversations? We already know each other. We spend a lot of time around each other, right? And so this is the type of, mindset that they'll bring to the relationship as well. The stagnation, not wanting to grow, being complacent, being content, right? And you'll start to get frustrated because you'll feel like, well, I want more out of my relationship. I feel like we're not connecting anymore. And slowly but surely, your relationship, instead of even stagnating, your relationship will just start doing this. We'll just start having a slow decline until it's completely over, right? And we don't want that for you either. So you have to be making sure, take note. Am I meeting a man? I'm hitting myself. Am I meeting a man who is stagnating, who has no growth in his life, right? If he has no growth, there's not going to be much growth in our relationship. Are we all on the same page? Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the 10 that we just discussed here? I want to make sure that you guys are not confused at all about any of these 10. You guys have any questions? Okay. Libra says, it's crazy because I went through this today with my person. It's like, this is a message that was made for me. You know, that's the amazing part about the show. You know, come on here and whatever topic I talk about, sometimes it's just you're just gonna feel it like, oh, this topic is for me. This concept, this idea, this conversation is for me. And that's really what it's for. That's why I love getting on here, getting on live, and then having a discussion about these things, because when it's really for you, you'll know it's for you. So when a message is speaking to you, that's because that's the place in your life that you need to be putting your attention to. And that's kind of like how I become a vessel for that, for you to at least have that realization and then know this is something that needs to be addressed now. Because sometimes it can be in the back of your mind, but you don't know exactly what it is that is like itching your brain. You can't put your finger on it until it's like said out loud, okay? Someone says, what if he lacks growth hormone? You mean like he has low testosterone? Is that what you're trying to say? So you know that he medically has low testosterone. Is that what you're trying to say? Why would he just, how would you even know that he has low testosterone? Okay. Or are you making a joke like he has low growth hormone? Because growth hormone is like yeah. Are you trying to say he has low testosterone? What are you trying to say there? Class says, and remember, ladies, you can't change a man if he doesn't want to change himself. Don't waste your time. Yes, that's why a lot of these major red flags are really centered around understanding, okay, how is this guy living his life? Understanding what is he already doing at this time? Basically observing that guy, right? And notice that these major red flags aren't like, oh, you know, if that guy, let's say for the sake of example, tells you that he wants you to be his wife early on, that's the red flag, right? I'm trying to focus mainly on things that you can literally just observe from a guy and take notice of, because those are real red flags a lot of times, because those are usually action related as opposed to just like words, right? Antonella says, if he has one of these red flags, do I immediately break up with him? Well, the answer is yes and no, okay? So what I mean by that is, if a guy has one of these red flags, first of all, you need to do some deeper thinking, right? Okay, what exactly about this concept or one of these red flags specifically applies to him, and in what way? Now that I've answered that question, is there a way in which our relationship could still be successful if he has a desire to change or adjust any of these things? If you're honest with yourself that he does not have a desire to change or adjust any one of these things, or you have not seen any progress in this area in many years or a very long time, then the answer is probably, yeah, you're going to have to end the relationship. Because what are you going to do? Beg for him to change? If he has no desire to change or doesn't see that he's doing anything wrong, there's nothing for you to do. You can't beg someone to change. You can't want him to change more than he wants to change. Now, if for whatever reason, let's say you're seeing one of these red flags, but you're like, this is an area we've already addressed in our relationship and something that he's trying to work on, then yes, it's possible you could stay in the relationship while he is making a decision to grow in this area or get better in this area, and you're actually seeing progress. But if for whatever reason you've never seen progress in this area, you don't expect to see progress in this area, he doesn't seem to have a desire to change or progress in this area, then the relationship's cooked for that reason then, okay? Natalia says, I just went through this situation with my person too. Good, then this message is definitely for you. Zara says, what if a man is making slow changes and you inspire him to do better with how you live your life? There's nothing wrong with that. I always say, right, progress, even in a small sense, in a slow way, is better than no progress, right? A guy having a desire to change and making steps towards that is always something you can work with. okay, right? Because none of us are going to be perfect, including me, right? I'm actually a real person. Someone said earlier, am I an AI? No, I'm a real person, right? So for all of us, we're going to have places that we can improve. So him having a desire to improve and making steps towards that is something that you can work with. A guy who has no desire to improve, doesn't think he's doing anything wrong, and does not want to make progress towards growing at all, that's not something you're going to be able to work with. At that point, you just have to make a decision to end the relationship, right? Zolly says, what about men who are overly talkative and expressive and represent their repetitive, in their feelings? Is that a red flag? No, I wouldn't say that's a red flag. If you're just saying that they talk a lot and express their feelings a lot, honestly, Zolly, you're probably in one of the best places. You're in a place, you'll see when we get into our Discord time where other people ask questions, you're probably in the place that a lot of women wish they could be in, which is that their man would tell them exactly what's on their mind, okay? And express to them exactly how they feel. That way you as a woman aren't in the dark. So actually you should be realizing you're in a good position if that's you. Being talkative and expressive is always a lot better than them being super silent and not telling you anything at all. Because once you're in the dark, it's going to be very hard to figure out what that guy wants or what his needs are, right? Deja says, can anyone tell me what time his lives start, please? They're supposed to start at 4, but I might push them back to a different start time because I'm always late now. So yeah, don't tell anyone, okay? They're supposed to start at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays and Thursdays, though. Lab said, my boyfriend wants me to tell him what he should do in our relationship. What should I do? How can I help him? Okay, Labs, that's a great question. The best way to go about that, okay, so it's good that he wants to make changes and adjustments. That's a start. But rather than you coming up with those changes or adjustments, I would love for it to be a team effort where you guys should have a sit down conversation, like no distractions, no TV, no Netflix, no music, nothing. And sit down and talk. And you should ask him, okay, what are some of the places where you think our relationship is like struggling or not working as well as it should be? Let him answer to say, list everything out that you could possibly think of, okay? And then when he lists those things out, let's just say for the sake of example, he says, okay, our communication isn't very good. We're struggling with that, right? And then you ask him, okay, why do you think we're struggling with communication? And then he's going to say, why? Okay, I'm not doing this. You know, we're not able to do that, da, 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 da. And then you say, okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? And if you want to, you can write that down. And then go through all the different things, right, that are points of contention from his own mind of what he thinks is making this current relationship not work as well as it needs to. Then, once he finishes listing all of those things, you can then go back and say, okay, so you said communication. Right? You said the reason it's not working is because da 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 da. So that's definitely something I agree we need to work on. You said, okay, intimacy, it's not working because da 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 da. So, you know, we can adjust this in the right. Like, so you almost in a sense let him come up with his own answers and then his own solutions of how we can solve that problem. And then you just repeat it back to him as, okay, this is what you suggested. So I think this is a great idea. You're so smart. You're so intelligent. Oh my God, I'm with Superman, the smartest, intelligent, most strong man in all the world, right? We can do it like this then, since you recommended and since you thought that would be the best way to solve the problem, right? And you see how you kind of inspire a man, use your brain, okay? And figure out how to make a change there, right? Sometimes with guys also, even though they might mean well, you don't want to give them that emotional crutch of, oh, I'll change it. What do you want me to change? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Don't let them live in that state, okay? In everything that you do, and understand too, you're doing that for yourself. Empower your man to be a critical thinker and think for himself and come up with answers and find solutions to problems, okay? Do not make the mistake of being your man's emotional crutch where you're like, okay, these are the problems and this is exactly how I want you to fix them. Say this exactly and do this exactly. I promise you after a while, his I guess we can say his muscle, right? The mind muscle will begin to atrophy in the sense that he'll stop being able to use his critical thinking skills to come up with solutions. Okay, right? Does that make sense? Someone says 6:30 p.m. EST. That would be 9:30 for me. I don't think I can get on that late. That's very late. We damn near be having a midnight stream. You guys all be in bed watching me. Okay. What if he has a lot of friends? Let's get them lets them get involved in his personal relationship and dislikes being alone. Is that a red flag for a lack of self-reflection, or is he just a people person? I would say that's more of just being an outgoing person. Now, let me say something to you, Tamika, that asked that question. If you notice that he constantly is cycling through friends, meaning like, okay, 1 week he's hanging out with this group of friends, he's heavy with these people, and then all of a sudden in a couple of months he's no longer hanging out with those people. Oh, a situation happened, I don't mess with those people anymore, I hang out with this new group. Now you have a cause for concern. But if you're with the guy who's just an outgoing guy and he has a lot of friends and he goes out a lot to spend time with different people, but his friends are reoccurring, like he doesn't like gain new friendships and then lose them and then start hanging out with new people and then now he's not friends with those people, as long as that's not the case, I don't think it's anything that is a red flag, okay? Colorado says, what if they only talk about topics, stocks, news, AI, and never about what matters of the heart? Well, here's what I'll say to that. If one of the things that is on his priority list in his mind isn't the relationship, you're not going to make it the relationship. So if you're observing that and you know that to be true, then unfortunately there's nowhere else to go. I hate to say it like, oh, it's the end, and be like the Debbie Downer, but you start in a relationship, in a successful one, from a guy's desire to be with you and want to build with you and want to make you happy, and a desire for him to be like, hey, I actually want to be your man. I want us to be here. I want us to do this thing. The reason I say that is because that's the foundational element through which you can then get what you want, right? The reason they say happy wife, happy life is because the man decides for himself that the most important thing to me is my wife's happiness. Then when he decides that, okay, he makes adjustments and changes for the purpose of his wife's happiness. But if a man doesn't have a desire to make a woman happy because it's not high on his priority list, you can't make it high on his priority list. So Colorado Wildflower, unfortunately, that probably means that's not the relationship for you. If the guy can't be bothered to have a discussion about anything except for man topics, stocks, news, AI, that sounds like man topics, things that guys will discuss with guys, right? You got to be different with your girl. If he doesn't understand that, then he just ain't getting it, okay? Lab says, my boyfriend is into sports betting. Is that a bad hobby? Okay. I'm going to say something, and I don't want to come across the wrong way because I don't want to be pompous and arrogant, okay? I don't do any of that stuff. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't sports bet. I don't participate in any of the degenerate activities that are a waste of time and energy, okay? However, I am not going to be so arrogant as to pretend like because I don't do certain things that anyone else who participates in things that I don't do is a waste of a person, okay? That's like I make mistakes as well, okay? So the reason I say that is if you're with a guy who sports bet, I'm not going to say it's bad, even though I don't do it, right? As long as he understands how to do it without allowing it to ruin his life or take over his life in a way where it's like, okay, he's sports betting and he's sports betting money that he doesn't have, or he's in credit card debt and he's still making sports bets, or he's, spending the money irresponsibly in a way that becomes reckless or can ruin a relationship or can ruin, his finances or both of your finances, right? Then you're good. If he's not doing that, you're good. But if he finds yourself, leaning towards the line of, it's starting to become a degenerate activity, he's like drinking and sports betting, or he's sports betting money he doesn't have, or I think you said he's your boyfriend. If you ever notice him start complaining about how much money he has or doesn't have, I should say, and he starts saying, yeah, I'm low on funds, I don't have money for this, I don't have money for that, and he's still sports betting, that's a problem. Now we're inching towards addiction territory, because if you start complaining about not having extra money and then you're spending the money that you do have sports betting, your head's not screwed on straight, okay? But the reason I say that, I don't want it to be like, oh, I don't sports bet, so any guy who sports bet is a waste of life force. That's unfair, you know what I mean? Everyone has their different vices. I have my own vices for sure. Someone said, Lab says he makes money from sports betting, I believe. Labs, you wanna You want me to tell you a little secret? So ask him what his secret is or what his system is for making money sports betting. So from my understanding, it is possible to make money from sports betting, but you have to understand probability and let's say a lot of guys will say they're good at sports betting. They'll say their system is knowing what teams to pick. That's actually not how you make money sports betting. You make money sports betting by understanding probability. And there's an actual mathematical probability equation that you're supposed to do while sports betting to know how much you're supposed to bet. And when you bet on a bet that has an edge, that gives you an edge over the house. I know it sounds overly complex, but if a guy, Alexa said it right, it's probability and statistics. If a guy is telling you he picks his sports bets by knowing which team is the best and which team is the most likely to win, he's cuckoo, all right? He's fallen into the propaganda. The only way you make money sports betting is by understanding probability. Now, here's the kicker. If you are really a successful sports bettor, they kick you off the app. So if you're profiting 10K a month or something crazy like that, the sports betting apps will kick you off. So don't think that the people saying they get super rich off of sports betting, they're lying to you. Because if you start making some crazy money, those sports betting apps will ban you. Or they'll make it so that you can only make very, very small bets to the point where you can't make any real profit. You know, I know a lot about some things, so trust me. And I don't sports bet, but that's my understanding of it. Okay. Someone says, how do you draw boundaries with the guy with what? A guy with a lot of friends. I thought you meant with the guy's friends. A guy with a lot of friends when those friends feel like they're part of the relationship too. Do you just tell him to be more discreet? So a conversation, Tamika, you should have with that guy is that you want to make sure that when things need to be addressed, that things get addressed between you two before they start getting addressed with friends around. Because the problem with that is when you guys are having an issue, the worst thing that can happen is other people bring their own traumas into your relationship by submitting their opinion into what's going on between you two. When he goes out to his friends and he tells them about the issue before you guys resolve the issue, this sounds really weird, but he can then come back to the relationship with issues that he never had before simply because someone else input their own opinion. So you have to almost approach it of, I want our relationship to be successful. If you have a problem with me, I want you to address me directly first. Let's get the situation solved first before you start going to your friends about the situation, right? Because it's not going to help us get our situation resolved any faster if you're talking to your friends about it. They're not resolving the situation, you're upset with me. So if you're upset with me, address me, okay? Don't address your friends. The more you address your friends and give energy to that, the less time or the more time wasted spent actually solving the issue. So, but that's a conversation you're gonna have to sit down and talk with him about if that's your boyfriend, okay? Class says, Tomisin, you're so rational and politically correct. I'm not politically correct all the time, okay? Chat, I'm not a perfect person. I always have to remind you guys of that because I don't want you guys to think because I come on the show and I have answers that I'm like absolutely perfect. No, I definitely make mistakes every day, and I definitely am not a perfect person, okay? And I'm also not politically correct, okay? For the show, maybe. If he's spending all his money on it, it would definitely wouldn't sit right with me if I was you. Oh, you're talking about the sports betting. Yeah, if he's complaining about money and then spending his money sports betting, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Let me scroll down here. I wanted to see Justice Liberty's question there. What shall I say to a guy who gives me his number? How do I politely tell him he's supposed to ask for mine, but I need to get to know him before I give it? Wait, I'm confused. Oh, he gave you his number? Oh, so you're saying you want him to ask for yours instead. This is actually low-key. So I don't know if you already fell for the trap or you're just asking hypothetically. In a scenario in which a guy offers his number to you, decline it. Okay? Decline it and say, well, no, I don't need your number. If you want, you can have mine, and you can text me if you feel like it, right? If he ever offers his number, right? The reason I say that is because it's a little bit of a slick trick to put the control in your hands. and have you doing the reaching out afterwards to basically solidify, okay, she's definitely interested if she reaches out to me. I just don't want you to do that. I would much rather you leave it in his hands and say, okay, you approached me, you asked for my number. Now, if you're serious, you message me the next day, right? Okay. That's the reason I do that. Now, if he says, okay, I give you my number and you take my number and then you message me, you could say, cool, you can have my number, but I'm probably not going to message you. If you want to message me, you can tomorrow. If you want to reach out to me, you can, but I'm not doing that, right? And if he says why, just say, if you really want to, you'll send me a message. It's that simple, right? And you just leave it at that. Sometimes you have to turn down the guy trying to like flip the script on you. Some guys will press it, but you have to stay strong to say, look, if you really want to message me, right, you can do that. I'm not stopping you. That's why it's always good to not be the approacher, right? Because you don't have that pressure on you to solidify the conversation with, okay, we're going to meet up tomorrow then, or we're going to go on a date next week, or, I'm going to solidify this by getting your number, right? That's why I hate the idea of you approaching a man, because you're automatically going to feel that subconscious pressure to like seal the deal with like, okay, I came up to you, I approached you, I don't want this to be a waste, so let me get your number so we can have a conversation tomorrow, right? Like if you are being the one being approached, then you get to say, hey, you came up to me, you asked for my number. If you want my number and you want to talk to me, then you can go ahead and figure out how to message me. If you're too scared to do that, too shy to do that, you got issues, you got problems, hey, no worries. I didn't approach you anyways, so I'm not pressed about this, and you can figure it out. You know what I mean, right? Justice Liberty says, sometimes in real life and sometimes on dating apps, you always flip the script. Say, you can get my number. If you want to text me, you want to message me, you can get my number and you can text me, right? If he's really like, no, you have to get mine, then you just be like, it's whatever. Just ignore it. Just ignore him. Okay. Right? Class says, no, Mr. T, I don't think you're a perfect person. Good. I'm flawed. Okay. How do I get you to chase me? You talking about me? Me? You're funny. Tamika says, thank you very much. Your answer was perfect. I really didn't know how to bring up the subject without it seeming like I wanted to control his friendships. No, it's just a conversation. You always keep, even when you bring that up, you want to make it seem like, hey, I'm here. I'm invested in the success of our relationship. So everything that I say is centered around us having a successful relationship, not me trying to tell you what you can or can't do. It's always about how you frame it. Well, most of the time it's about how you frame it. Okay. Okay. So this one comes from A. It says, is my supervisor just being nice or is he into me? Interesting. I'm 30 and in my final semester of university, I met this guy. Let me get my glasses. I met this guy at work about 5 months ago. He's in his mid-30s and has been working there for over a decade. From the start, I felt a spark, but brushed it off, thinking it was just me. But little things kept building up. The first month working there, he asked me, how's school going? And what are your plans for spring break? I told him it was my birthday week. He called me, I lost my place there. He called me on my birthday asking to cover a shift. I had to remind him it was my birthday. Not sure if he has bad memory or was just an excuse to keep talking. The second or third month, I noticed every time I get into the break room during my break, he enters to use the bathroom. I wasn't sure if this was just a coincidence. During this time, I started using more eye contact and smiles. So you're trying to work your magic. In May, after work, I told him I missed the bus and was going to hang around. He followed me. He followed me into the break room and sat to talk. We got onto the topic of hiking. I said, we should go sometime. And he said, we should. Do you have my number? He proceeds, let me find my place here. He proceeds to hand me his personal phone to put my number in. It turns out he already had my number saved. Okay, interesting. I walked out of that office smiling from ear to ear. I was whispering to myself, no freaking way. The secretary saw me. I don't know if she thinks I'm crazy now. I don't know if she told him because no plans have been made. Like if the secretary told the guy? Okay. Okay. I know he is also super busy being a supervisor and only has 2 days of off of the week. He also lives in another town with his parents. Wait, how old did you say he is? He's in his mid 30s? Okay. In June, he entered the break room 3 times with my 15-minute break. The first time he entered the bathroom. The second time he entered, a coworker started talking to him, then he walked out. A third time he entered to grab a Gatorade from the pack that was at my table. Each time he entered, he smiled, and each time he left, he smiled and waved. I planned a dinner with other coworkers hoping it would be easier, but he didn't attend, possibly because our coworkers are much younger. He's only in his mid 30s. He asked me how I got back home because he knew I didn't live in that area, the area that we had dinner at. Still, there have been other moments. Whenever he's showing me something on his computer, I lean in slowly. This sounds like a Wattpad story. I lean in slowly, and I like to stare at him, giving him all my feminine, warm energy. Yeah, you're making it real warm for him. He's very warm in certain places, I can assure you of that. Whenever he hands me something, I use my flirty eyes and give a soft thank you, or whenever we're passing by, I give a smile and hold my gaze longer, and he always gives a bashful smile and looks away. Wait, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to turn him on in the office here? That's what you're trying to do. Okay. I'm rolling. There have been moments where he's closed the gap. Okay, we're at work here. First time I was sitting at we're at work here. I was sitting at the table. He walked in and immediately grabbed the chair from another table and placed it next to me to chat. Okay. Another time he was sitting at the table with a coworker. I was sitting at the table next to them. His posture was open and inviting me into the conversation. As soon as the other coworker excused herself to go to the bathroom, he grabbed his chair and placed it at my table and continued talking to me. He loves the app, clearly. He didn't even look back at her when she came back from the bathroom. I notice whenever he's showing me something on his phone, he does it close to his body, so I have to lean in and get closer. Not in a secretive way. I've seen his password. Now that I'm on summer vacation, he can't ask me about school, but recently he has asked a couple of times about my bus, like how long is my bus ride? Maybe next time I should ask him playfully, why? Do you want to give me a ride? Yeah, that's how it starts, huh? I've been subtle with my flirting. I recently have been praising/feeding into his ego by complimenting his handiness and staying playful. He gives a bashful smile and chuckle. I think it's working because he shows me stuff he's working on and tells me what he needs to do to fix it. He hasn't flirted back though. My flirting is subtle, so maybe I need to be more obvious. You also have to remember this is work. So for you, yes, it's playful, but we live in a day and age where this is also kind of dangerous for him, right? He's a guy, and then he's also your supervisor. So I get it, it's fun and flirty, but like he can actually get in trouble for this, especially if from your perspective, you like him, you like the flirting and all the vibes, but hypothetically, you could turn around and say, oh, he's harassing me, he's making advances on me that I don't want. And you could go to like his supervisor or HR and make a complaint about him, right? And he could lose his job because of that. So I'm not saying that like, he doesn't like you or he's not, into you. I'm just saying that might be part of the reason why he's a little bit more subdued in his approach to you and like trying to keep it a little bit more professional, right? In that sense, especially with the man and woman dynamic. You also have to understand the day and age that we're in, okay? I have texted him a couple of times, once reminding him about the coworker dinner and another time wishing him a good evening after he's had a rough day. He answers politely, but still hasn't taken the lead. I'm not going to text him anymore. I think he should start texting me first now. I also want to add that he is a nice and caring guy by the way he treats our coworkers. Okay, Okay, I'm concerned now. It makes it harder to tell if he's just being nice or if there's something more. A longtime coworker of his told me he's never mentioned a girlfriend and started to think he was gay. But I don't think so by the way he smiles at me. He's not married or has any kids, thank God. Maybe he's private with his personal life. Again, why would he share that stuff with 20 to 25-year-olds? Agreed. Also, I look younger than I am. When you say young, how young are we talking? That you look, obviously. Most of my coworkers thought I was in my early 20s. Maybe he does too. I don't think he knows my age. Maybe he's scared of the work relationship. What should I do? Please help. I recently stumbled across your YouTube channel, and would greatly appreciate your advice. Okay, here's the thing, right? Work is tough because you don't want to chase, number one, but you also don't want to, like, if he's a little bit too shy about the idea of approaching you at work because he doesn't want it to be seen as inappropriate, it's still not your job to be like, hey, come chase me, come ask me out on a date. You can still be flirty, but once you push the line of being flirty, you give nice smiles, eye contact, all the stuff that you already said you're doing, it's on him to decide whether or not he wants to kind of make an actual go at this, or to just come out and say, hey, I was wondering if you wanted to go on a date or something like that, right? If he's not going to be able to like come out and say that, there's nothing left for you to do. One, because it's a workplace, so you shouldn't, be doing that much anyways. And number two, also it's his job to do kind of the approaching and the leading here. So once you get up to the point where you're giving those playful hints and he's not kind of taking the bait, then there's a reason for that. Whether it be his interest isn't fully there to the point where he actually wants to date you, or maybe he's just being nice and he loves to yap, right? It could also be that in the workspace, sometimes guys will yap in a flirty way, and it actually is intentionally flirty, but their interest level isn't to the point where they say, oh, I want to date you. Here's the other thing to take note of, right? He's in his mid-30s, and you mentioned that he lives with his parents still. That could be something holding him back from, having real serious relationships, because maybe some of the older women would expect him to be a little bit more established, right, in his mid 30s. So that could be part of it as well. And so the other thing too is you might not know enough about him to necessarily understand why it is he's still single, because the work version of him could be very different than the real life version of him, especially too if there's a large age gap between him, his mid-30s, and everyone else that works at your place who's in the 20 to 25-year-old range. That's basically like 10 years, right? He probably might bring a totally different side of his supervisor and manager self to work that you have no idea who he actually is. And trust me, there are some people that are really good at this. Like, the person they are at work is astronomically different than the person they are when they're around their friends hanging out. There's people, they'll be dancing, shaking their ass to Sexy Red. You wouldn't even know it. They'll be at work acting so professional. You wouldn't even know that's them. So that's also the thing as well, right? You don't really necessarily know this guy because you're meeting him at work. So you don't know what he's like outside of that. The other thing to take note of, and I actually would be leaning more towards he might just be being nice. He doesn't seem to take any of the bait as it relates to trying to see you outside of work. So that's the other thing. And I get it, there's an age gap between him and the other people that he kind of works with and supervises, but it doesn't even seem like he has much interest, if any at all, in hanging out with any of you or just you outside of the workplace. You talked about the dinner that you kind of organized. He didn't show up to that. And he hasn't really seemed that much interested in spending any time outside of work with really anyone. So that's also leaning me towards he might just be being nice and love to yap. And he might even be being flirty, but I don't think it's at the level of interest where he's saying, okay, I want to actually go out on a date with her. Now, am I saying that could never change? No, it might change. It might progress to the point where he does have that level of interest. But I think as of right now, you've done all you can do. And all I would ever advise you to do in terms of giving him runway and letting him know, hey, the path is clear for you to take an opportunity here to ask me out, or whatever the case may be, explore a relationship. And I think that at this point, it's now on him to kind of take the rope here. And if he's not going to take the rope, then you have to take that as a clear sign of where he's at mentally as it relates to this relationship. Okay, does that make sense? Um, Two, I will make sure as well because Just Jess has been watching for a while. I keep forgetting her question. I'll make sure to do that. Okay, Just Jess, if I haven't already answered your question, which of the questions is it? Um, in the chats are read once they're, does it do that? Some of the questions get read after being 30 days old. They're titled How to Rebound from Cheating, First Date Questions, and Clarifying. Okay. I'm going to make sure to get How to Rebound from Cheating, First Date Questions, and Clarifying Questions. Okay. I'm going to make sure to do those. Thank you, Just for bringing that to my attention. I apologize. I didn't realize that happens. Update, he's moving too fast. Hi, Tomisin. Been loving your content, your recent content that really nails relevant concerns to me, okay? I'm 35, and the guy I met who's 39, I met him off a dating app, okay? Whose concern was, while he was setting up nice dates and going out of his way to do things for me, he was also moving very fast physically, heavy groping and making out in his car by the second date. I think you can tell by now how things have progressed since then. What are you trying to say, S? Say what you're trying to say, S. Don't imply it. Don't beat around the bush. Say what you're trying to say. What has happened since then? Okay. He used to text good morning and call often, but that's become less frequent. And now we use texting mostly to just arrange dates 1 to 2 times a week. I did tell him I'm really bad at texting, so he may be adjusting accordingly. Sometimes, sometimes I do miss talking to him between dates, but I don't want to come across as needy, so I've kept it cool. But it does sometimes make me feel lonely, like I'm not dating someone, but going on nice Hinge dates with just the same guy. Okay, we haven't finished the question here, but S, so my question is, are you telling me you were never able to see any of this beforehand? And if your answer is, well, no, everything was going good at that time and it was too early on to see any of this or observe any of this, then why did you not wait to see how things would go and progress over the course of time? So if you're watching my content now, one of the things you'll hear me talk about a lot is with guys, they have a shiny new toy fixation. When you're shiny and you're new, that's when you're the most exciting to guys because they haven't explored you, they haven't slept with you, they don't know anything about you. That's when you're the most shiny and new, and that's when they'll be so excited. You have to wait till that shiny novelty of being brand new wears off to see how he really feels about you and how he'll really approach a relationship with you. That's what will give you your real answers. I think moving too fast physically has created this weird conundrum that while I'm still very attracted to him, I'm not sure of my feelings for him. And I think that cheapens any intimacy I have with him. It weighs a lot on me. I grew up very Christian, and this was the first man I've allowed to touch me. So, wait, what? Why would you? Oh, okay, S. Okay, what? You waited 35 years. I'm really confused. You waited 35 years to let a man touch you for the first time. And the first time he touched you, it's the guy that touches you. It's a guy you meet off of Hinge, right? Off a dating app. And you progress super fast into heavy groping. And then you guys essentially have pineapples. You sleep together. Why would you allow that to be? You've held out for 35 years. Why would that be your first time? I'm not saying this to be mean to you, S, but I'm trying to understand, of all ways to have your first time, if you've held out for that long, why would that be the first one? I don't understand, because you've shown to have discipline up until this point. So I'm not understanding what was it in that about the relationship that was causing you to like throw away all the things. You've been working so hard at this for 35 years. Why would you throw away all of that now, randomly? I don't understand. I don't understand how we got there. I don't understand. And you didn't give a timeline. So I'm struggling to understand how we got there with this guy. What made that so special? I've tried to broach the subject with him. Maybe I'm not wording it right. I tried to keep it light, saying, I want to love you for you. I don't feel enough about you. No, this is all wrong. I want to feel more emotionally connected to you, not just your PP. This is all, please don't ever say any of that. Don't, especially that last, don't say this at all. Please don't say that. But saying it like that is probably why he just laughs it off. How would I say it so he understands my real concern of how I feel we have not closed the emotional distance any closer than when we first met? This is very disappointing to me because I empathize with you and how you feel, but I'm also kind of upset with you for why you did this. I really mean that. I'm kind of upset with you because you've done such a great job, and it's like you have your morals and values and you stuck with them for so long, and to make a blunder like this is like a rookie mistake, you know, to blunder not being sure of a man's feelings towards you completely, and then just sleeping with him, you know, willy-nilly and not being able to set a boundary. I think what you need to do is you need a hard reset. So we need to reestablish who has the power in this relationship. And as, you know, toxic and horrible as it's going to sound, I think you need to stop talking to him cold turkey. And because you have to come to a crossroads with this guy. He has to make one of two decisions. He either has to decide, if you stop talking to him cold turkey, that I don't like this, I want to talk to her, I want to see her, I need to figure out why she's no longer talking to me. What did I do? What did I say? What's going on, right? At which point, maybe he'll reach out to you and say, hey, what's going on? You've been ignoring me. What's the problem? What's the issue? Then you can kind of communicate to him some of the things that have been bothering you. I'd much rather do this over the phone or something like that and say, hey, if you want to know, we can talk on the phone. The reason I say that is at least if he comes to you, he'll have open ears to trying to understand what's going on with you and why you've been the one being distant, okay? And it'll be a better way for him to receive your issues, okay? So that's the number one option. Now, the other outcome that can happen from you going cold turkey, not speaking to him anymore, is he just continues to ignore you and doesn't speak to you. In which case, you're going to have to, as painful as it is, I know it's the first guy you've ever slept with, you're going to have to realize it's over and let it go and move forward. I know it's the first guy you've ever let touch you, you've ever been intimate with. And I know it's very painful to feel like, damn, so this is not the guy I'm going to end up with. I know for your first time, it's like, that's like earth shattering. But that's also a possibility that you have to accept, because my main concern for you is that you're a Christian, right? And you've spent the last 35 years probably believing that the guy that you slept with for the first time is the guy that you'll marry. So the reality that that's not what your life ended up being for you as a woman can be very earth shattering for that first little bit, and understandably so, right? So you have to understand what that's going to do to your psyche, though, and how that can actually self-sabotage you, because the desire that you'll have to hold on to that, even I guess we can say fantasy, right? That idea or concept in your mind, the first guy I sleep with is the guy I'm going to marry. The first guy I sleep with is the guy I'm going to marry, right? You've been saying that to yourself probably for 35 years. I don't want you to then say, I need to save this relationship. I need to do something. I need to beg him. I need to show up at his house. I need to ask him about this. I need to go out on dates with him. I need to beg him to text me and things like that. Or just get breadcrumbs just so that I can live with this same concept that the first guy I sleep with is the guy that I'm going to marry, right? Because you spent so much time thinking about it that way. That can become self-sabotaging, because then you'll begin chasing after a guy you should never be chasing after, simply because you're trying to hold on to that ideology, okay? I think the best thing for you to do is to let go of that, realize, you know what? I'm here now. There's a high likelihood that the first guy I slept with is not going to be my husband. That's okay. My life's not going to end. I have sinned, but we all fall short of the glory. Okay. You're not going to, the world's not going to end because you made a little bit of a mishap. Okay. And understand that, but that will allow you to take some of the weight off of yourself of saying, I need to save this, because you don't. It's on him to decide, does he have a desire to really progress this relationship forward and build with you? If he doesn't, you have to accept that. Okay. I'm worried that your ideology of what you feel like you should be doing or what you feel your life should be will control you into trying to save this from not looking like how you feel like it's going to go. Okay. So that's my advice to you. Cut it off cold turkey. Let's see what decision he makes from there. And then you can go from there. I would say give it a maximum of 2 weeks if he doesn't reach out to you in any meaningful way, or try to actually press the situation and be like, hey, what's up with you? I want to have a conversation. I want to reach out. I want to understand you better. Then your relationship's over. Okay. Does that make sense? Let's hop into our next question here. Okay. This one comes from Linda de la Rosa. That's a Latin name, right? Linda de la Rosa. Was I dating a narcissist? Okay, let's see. Hi, dear Tomisin. I am 31 years old and I was dating a 30-year-old man online for a month. What do you mean online? What do you mean online? What do you mean by that? Do you mean you never saw him in person? What do you mean by that? He added me on Instagram. Oh boy. We started talking and he began flirting more and more. Eventually, we decided to make video calls to get to know each other better. After 1 month of talking by videos and messages, he told me he wanted something serious. I asked him a lot of questions over video and was impressed by his answers. He said he was about to start a master's degree in education. He had previously worked as an English teacher in Japan. He's an interpreter for Japanese and English, lived in Peru, and is also a writer who has published published shorts, fantastic stories on Amazon, and has published his own fantasy magazine. Currently, he works as an educator with autistic children. I was able to verify online that everything he said was real, and he even has a short bio on Google and photos that prove everything on Facebook. Okay. When we spoke on video, he told me he wanted to get married and have children with me and wanted to write and publish his own novel. Question for you. You were online talking to this man for a month. At this time, I don't think it had been a month. How would he possibly know that he wants to have children and marry a woman who he has literally never met? Unless I'm after a month of talking by video and messages, meaning we have not met in person before, unless I'm tripping. How would he possibly know that he wants to marry you and have children with you? He has only seen you on video and messaged you. That's not a rational thought to have. He asked me to be his He asked you to be his girlfriend. He has not met you yet. And later during a video call, he proposed marriage. Let me read this again. He asked me to be his girlfriend, and later during a video call, he proposed marriage. Yes, after only a month of talking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's take a stretch here. Let's take a momentary break. I'm actually gonna take a lap for this one. Okay. Just gonna do a little bit of walking. You know, sometimes, you know, when you want to eliminate the stress, you gotta walk it off. You know, you want to eliminate the stress. You walk it off. So I'm gonna just take a couple of laps, you know, try and cool off here, take a stretch my back out, you know, the back gets tight sitting down, right? Like, and we gotta reorganize ourselves here, okay? Okay? Chat. We gotta reorganize ourselves here, okay? Okay. Let's hop back into this here. The man has not met you, not once, and he's asking you to be his girlfriend, and he's proposing marriage. Okay, he told me he had researched everything necessary to bring me to the U.S. with him. Since I'm in Mexico and I live in Mexico City, you must have a crazy dump truck. Let me see. Linda De La Rosa. Oh, you're Latina. So your dump truck must be crazy. We need to see what your Instagram looks like because I'm concerned he's mesmerized by your Instagram. Maybe your dump truck's looking crazy on Instagram. He's so mesmerized. He's like, I have to marry her because I'm not even sure where he would get this level of delusion. Okay. The only logical explanation, your dump truck is out of this world. And on Instagram, he's just so mesmerized. He's been wanking to your pictures every day and he can't get enough of it. That's the only logical explanation for this lunacy. This is ridiculous. We talked about visas and immigration paperwork. Boy, your Instagram must be crazy. So I was super excited and falling for him. This is working on you. Okay. He told me he had fallen in love with me. Oh, God. Okay. And wanted to spend his life with me because we're both polyglots, share the same dreams, and he would love to help me. Okay, let me do this right here. Siri, what's the definition of polyglots?
As an adjective, polyglot means knowing or using several languages. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
Okay. Sorry, I had to understand what when you said poly, I was thinking something else. Okay, share the same dreams and would love to help me achieve mine with him in the US. He even told me that he would help bring my mom with me to the USA. Oh, your dump truck must be out of this world. The stuff that he's saying isn't like people who meet a girl and like her in person don't even usually say stuff like this. This sounds very strange. Okay. I asked him to show me the plane tickets and so I could believe he was serious. And he showed me a real flight purchase from July 29 to August 18, 2025. Yes, the ticket is not fake at all, but doesn't the ticket have to have your name on it? I'm confused. How does he purchase a ticket without your government name on your passport? He told me about a 3-year long distance relationship with a foreign girl. They never had pineapples and they broke up. Sorry, something just dawned on me. He's Asian, right? Did you say? Japanese, English? I don't know if you mentioned specifically his ethnicity, but it sounds like he's Asian, English teacher in Japan. I'm assuming, maybe, which is interesting to me. She and her family made him feel like he wasn't enough. Did they ever meet? After my online research, I discovered the girl is from Peru. How would you? Okay. And they visited the country together, so he met her. Besides, he opened up about his what? Oh, okay. He opened up about his needle addicted mom and sent me more than 400 photos of his childhood. This is weird on so many levels. Why do you need 400 photos of his childhood? Why have you guys not met yet? Why can't he just get a plane ticket if he really wants to see you that bad to Mexico City and see you? Why does he need to send you 400 photos of his childhood before? This is very weird. This is getting very weird and making me very uncomfortable. Even baby pictures, this is very weird. You haven't even gone on one date. Why are you seeing him as a baby? He also sent me documents that proved he had a troubled childhood while his parents were divorcing. Okay. Why does he need to send you those documents? This is so weird. This is the weirdest question we've gotten in a while. Besides that, he also told me he had a motorcycle accident which left him with chronic back pain. Okay. He showed me his x-rays and his scar during a video call. Okay. In his message, he sometimes seemed depressed, talking about feeling unmotivated. He also told me he was sure I was gonna abandon him like everyone else. Oh boy, oh god. Okay, all right. It's this type of guy. You're dealing with this type of guy. Okay, this. Let me tell you right now. Okay, Linda. This is the same type of guy, I promise you. If you do date him, as soon as you say you want to break up, he's going to say he wants to unalive himself. That's the type of guy you're dealing with. I just hope you know. So if you're not prepared for that, prepare yourself. He also admitted that sometimes he's in a bad mood and doesn't eat well. Okay. Later on, he also asked me if I would take him even if he had controlled herpes. That's a quite odd question to ask someone. Okay. I'm trying not to make any assumptions here. Quite an odd question to ask, though. We had a long video call, but I accepted. You accepted the STI. Or is that classified as an STD? I don't know. He also said he has irritable bowel disease. He also liked all my Instagram photos and even proposed that we get couple tattoos. What did I say, chat, about the Instagram? What did I say? He's lurking your Instagram. Your Instagram, you've got some really nice pictures of your dump truck. He's been wanking himself vigorously to your Instagram pictures, wanking vigorously. Every single one of your posts is in his photos album, okay? Wanking himself vigorously to your Instagram photos, right? He knows your Instagram name like the back of his hand. It seems like that's mesmerizing him a little bit. Okay? I'm just going to be real with you. He was super intense. Yeah, he's probably super horned up. That's why he's super intense. Okay? From the beginning, he talked about pineapples, but I told him I wanted to wait until marriage. It's like I can sniff it. It's like I can sniff it. Like I said, he's wanking himself to your Instagram pictures. That's where he's saying, I want to marry you. I wanted this. I wanted that, right? Your pictures, your dump truck's out, and he can't control himself. And it was not my intention to have pineapples with him in Mexico. Wait, what? He came to Mexico? He said I had the power and respected my decision. He told me he loved me and would wait. Wait. Am I losing my mind? When did he say he's actually coming to, like, wait. Okay, so you're saying that he booked the ticket to come to you. Oh. Okay. Okay, because you didn't specify. I asked him to show me the plane tickets. Life in no poly, same dream, help me achieve mine. He even told me that. I asked him to show me the plane tickets. Okay, a real flight purchase. Okay. Okay, so this plane ticket was for him to come to Mexico City. He told me, okay. Okay, I guess he's in Mexico City now. Everything changed when he asked if I was okay with a pineapple call. Wait. So did you see him in Mexico or no? I guess you didn't. Everything changed when he asked me if I was okay with the pineapple call. My bad. I said yes, so we did the call. I never showed myself during the call. Afterwards, I messaged him saying I want to wait to have those types of calls until marriage, even if I had a great time. So you never met him still. Just to be clear. He replied, I'm sorry, I'm worried, Linda. We're going really fast, even with the idea of marriage that he brought up. I sent a message saying I still desired him, but wanted to wait, that I accepted him with his conditions and that he should wait for me too. He saw my messages but didn't reply right away, so I erased them. I later apologized for erasing them and he said not to worry. That Friday, I missed a call from him. I apologized for not answering. He seemed kind of distant, but also apologized, saying that he'd been busy celebrating the 4th of July. He even posted some smiling selfies on Instagram, on Instagram, and a video of himself cooking, showing his super clean house and dog. Now, I think it was like a pub of his perfect life to his girl followers. Oh, you mean like a highlight? Like he was just showing off to attract more girls? Okay. I told him to call me Saturday at 9 p.m. He said, yeah, I think so, but he never called. while I was at the beach, I posted some bikini pictures on my Instagram story, and that was the story he viewed before going silent. I sent him 2 messages, one on iMessage and one on Messenger, like Facebook Messenger. One of them included the personal bikini photo I had promised. In both, I asked if he was doing okay. He ignored me for 2 days. That's embarrassing. But during those 2 days, he changed his Instagram bio to "I am happy, I have a family," with the emoji of a man and a woman. What? What the hell is going on here? I noticed he was interacting with a new girl, his type, liking each other's photos. Oh boy. Oh boy. So he's found a new girl to wank himself off to on Instagram. That's what you're basically saying. He ran out of wank material with you. He's tired of wanking himself to you. He's busted all type of nuts on his sheets to your pictures. Now he's on to the next Instagram girl to wank himself off to. Wow. After his silence, I deleted the bikini photo and sent him a simple message. Oh, you're still messaging. Okay. I deleted the bikini photo. I did it because I felt he no longer deserved my picture after disappearing for 2 days. Yeah, sure. He didn't even open the message, but instantly blocked me on Instagram. He didn't unfriend me on Facebook or iMessage. Are you trying to say that like that's a sign? I hope not. Till this day, he hasn't opened my messages, ghosting me without explaining why he blocked me like that. He also stopped viewing my stories on Messenger, so I decided to be strong and not write him back. Now I'm sad, but what I keep wondering, why would he spend money on a plane ticket and ask me to marry him just to block me like this? Is he a vulnerable narcissist that love bombed me and just abandoned me like that? No. Let me tell you what happened here. Okay. What likely happened with this plane ticket thing is he edited it. We have AI now, right? We're in 2025. So he can actually make a fake looking plane ticket with AI. The other question that I have for you is, did the plane ticket, you said he showed me a real flight purchase from July 29 to August 18, 2025. Maybe it's the way that you worded it that confused me. You just left it out, or whether it just wasn't there. Why didn't you say he showed me a plane ticket with his name on it? That's my question. If the plane ticket was to you, because plane tickets are supposed to have your government ID on it, right? Or it's not government ID, your passport, ID on it, name, your real name. So when you're saying he showed me a real flight purchase, right? Are you saying he just showed you some sort of confirmation of a flight purchase ambiguously? Right, without his name being attached to the flight purchase, right? Like these are questions that I have where I'm starting to think maybe he fabricated it, or it was edited, or something along those lines, right? Just long story short, not being a real plane ticket purchase. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I do honestly believe this is just a case of lust. He's wanking himself to your Instagram pictures all day. You probably have a great feed. You probably have a great body. Whatever he's into, whether he's into dump trucks, whether he's into Yitties, he's probably wanking himself vigorously to your stuff. You guys dirty talk over the phone. You dirty talk over video chat, right? So he loves wanking himself. You're his personal wank star, right? So he's wanking himself to you vigorously for about a month or so. Then he kind of gets bored of it, kind of gets tired of going back and forth with you. He finds a new girl to kind of fixate on, and now he's wanking off to all of her pictures. And so now that he starts wanking off to all of her pictures, he builds the whole fantasy. Yep, you're going to be my girlfriend. Yep, we're going to get married. Yep, it's going to be me and you. Yep, we're going to have babies. That's part of his wank fantasy, right? So he wanks to you and he's like, oh, I'm wanking to my wife. Oh, I'm going to bust a nut. That's the wank fantasy. But then he never actually has the intention of being in a relationship. It's just part of his wank fantasy. So by the time he stopped talking to you, what had really happened is he found his new wank star to be wanking to every day and talk to every day. Now that he's wanking to and talking to that girl every day, he now has the delusion in his mind, oh, this is my wife now. I'm going to marry this girl. I'm going to be with this girl, while he's wanking to her every day, blue in the face, busting nuts, right? So now that he's fixated on her, he no longer needs you to be his wank star everyday conversation because he has that girl to talk to. So that's where I think that kind of stemmed from, and why you notice that drastic switch in energy from him, right? Easy come, easy go as well, right? If you have a guy who seems to be super into you, fascinated by you, super obsessed with you for no reason, especially when he hasn't met you and he has no way to really differentiate you from anyone else, in the sense that like you're just a picture behind a screen, and yeah, it's video chat, but at the same time, it's never going to equate to seeing someone in real life and spending real quality time with them. When you're getting a man in love with you just off of that, in 1 month, less than 1 month really, then you're going to lose him just as fast. So all of this makes perfect sense to me from the standpoint of you lost him just as fast as you got him, which, didn't take you a lot of work to get him. So it didn't take you a lot of work to lose him. And I think for the most part, he was just living in some sort of wank fantasy that consisted of saying that he wanted to be with you, but he never had any real intention of being with you. And if he did, he's so delusioned anyways that I wouldn't even want you to meet a guy like this, because you also have to think to yourself, if you're the girlfriend of a guy who can fall in love with a girl he's never met before, how long do you think, let's say you did date him or become his wife, how long into your relationship do you think it'll be before he meets a new woman on Facebook Messenger or on Instagram that he starts talking to, and then he decides to himself, I want to divorce you, my wife, for 5-10 years and go be with this girl from Colombia and build a relationship with her and have children with her because I started talking to her online a couple of weeks ago and I feel like she's who I'm meant to be with, right? Do you see how like you're also dating that personality, right, type? The same type of guy who will not meet you, not know you from a can of paint. You live in Mexico City, he's talking about he wants to marry you, is the same type of guy that 5 years or a couple years down the road will meet a random girl from Colombia on Messenger and then realize that maybe he wants to get divorced now to go and marry that girl and not be with you anymore. So I don't think that you wanted a guy like this anyways, Linda De La Rosa. I'll be honest with you. I think you actually dodged a bullet and got some real good done to you from that, okay? Just a little bit, okay? Let me get to your question here. Just a little bit says self-mastery, pun intended. Is this going to be about rubbing one out? I have a feeling you're talking about rubbing one out. Just a little bit. Hi, Tomisin. I recently was moved by your frustration during your stream's React segment when describing how lust is a common battle for men. Oh, it is about rubbing one out. And how they must conquer it. I've struggled with the same issue as a 22-year-old. 22-year-old woman, right? A 22-year-old, not as controlled by lust, but intimacy is something I crave more and more as time goes on. As I grew up with bad male validation and recently learned to climax. Okay. My last romantic interaction was late 2023, early 2024. The last guy that actually claimed me as a girlfriend was freshman year 2019. Okay. My difficulty is more so moment focus. Since I've graduated, I have not found my tribe or a single man my age wanting to take me seriously. You're 22. Most of the men who are 22 are not ready for like ultra serious relationships because they're still figuring life out. Most of the guys that age, which is fair. Since I've graduated, I have not found my tribe or a single man who will take me serious. I try to fit being social into my schedule as much as possible and treating myself. Root of my spending problems so that I'm not miserable and stuck in my room. I find myself rejected in most environments, photo shoots, modeling events, mall shopping, concerts, dating apps. Unless I'm somewhere for a purpose like grocery shopping, then I simply won't get approached. One thing you mentioned, the idle mind theory, I'm not sure if it's a religious thing. Most times I'm genuinely curious in certain topics or events, carnage, forensics, corn. However, I do find myself experiencing what you describe. So you mean like when you're basically bored or have nothing to do, that's when your mind starts to wander. It's something that obviously, and I don't mind as the devil's playground comes from a religious like a background, like that saying. But I think it definitely applies to everything and everyone really, because when you have too much time on your hands of not doing anything, that's when you're just going to start looking for things to do. And trust me, whenever you're looking for things to do, you usually just end up getting in trouble. You also mentioned that saving those videos to your camera roll is a little concerning behavior. 100%. 100%. That is strange behavior. Going on a site and watching porn is one thing. Going on a site, watching it, and then like saving it to your phone, saving the videos, screenshotting the pictures, and saving it to your phone that you're crossed the line, in the sense that you have a problem now. Because why do you need that to be in front of your face all the time? That's where you start to develop a real addiction here, that you can't, like, to say, okay, if I search it out, then I search it out. But to say I want it to be in front of my face or on my phone every time I open my phone, every time I go in my photos, it's there. Every time, like that's concerning, okay? From my perspective, when walking Tracy's dog, oh, you mean like using the, for those of you who are new, you don't know what she's talking about. Tracy's dog is a toy that you can use on yourself. So she's not talking about a dog. When walking Tracy's dog, specific sounds or actors may have content that just hits the spot, okay? And sometimes when I'm in the mood, having easy access to a specific moment that gets me there can be helpful, especially when dealing with stress as a touch-starved girl. I didn't lose my card until 18 and just recently discovered how to get myself there months ago. It clears my mind in the morning, but drains me physically over time. I resonate with what you said, explaining how the nuts, or in this case, my impulses, emotions can wait, and submitting to every urge will leave you with nothing. Here's the other thing that I'll say. This is also a mental state, right? So you have to think of it like this. You're training your mind. So there's conscious you, then there's subconscious you, in the sense that you will have thoughts that come to you that seem kind of random, right? Impulses, like you just mentioned. You have to train yourself to be able to talk to that impulsive side of you and say, I don't care what you want right now in the moment. I'm going to do what I know is best for me, and I'm going to act on things how I want to act in a way that best serves me. You literally have to talk to yourself, right? You don't get to tell me what to do. I decide when I'm ready to do what I need to do. And I'll decide that I'm ready once I've done A, B, and C, right? So the reason that it's important to train your brain that way is each and every time that you make a choice to say, okay, I really need to wear one out right now, so I'm just going to do it, right? I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to pull up the video, right? You start to become a slave to your own impulses, slowly but surely, to the point where anything that comes to your mind, the moment you feel the urge to do it, you can't control yourself. You have to do it. You're not even able to fight back whatsoever, because that muscle atrophies. It's a muscle you have to kind of train. And the reason that can become so bad is that can translate to other parts of your life where you just instantly listen to the impulse without even fighting back whatsoever, right? You give no pushback to the impulse. You just, whatever it is that your subconscious wants in that moment, you just do it without thinking of the consequences. And then slowly but surely, your life gets ruined because of it, right? Quite frankly, this is what has taken place. I've been working since 16. I've made over, let's get this right here, $100,000 since 2020. However, I still live paycheck to paycheck, not even to the next paycheck. I grew up poor, so exposure to money in adulthood was comfortable to me. My car got totaled last year. I now drive a 2005. It then got stolen on Memorial Day, leaving my stick shift ripped off. My work ethic, discipline, wealth, and sense of self is something I would like to work on as I age. I still live with my mom. Her boyfriend pays my bills and all the bills in the house. You said something dealing with lust, or in my case, impulsivity. You have to have something to be responsible for. I'm capable of finding jobs and my own income. It is difficult for me to value or discipline in continuing to work large amounts of hours to live to 70 plus years to unalive. Every single day, I cannot convince myself that life isn't a scam, despite it literally being that. I try Monday and Tuesday, but then Wednesday comes and I realize it's just a simulation. I'm only benefiting the US / the company I work for, then call it off or quit. I no longer want to make excuses and being a functional and begin to function like a normal, punctual, successful woman. I would like to master my vices and behaviors to work ahead of them instead of allowing them to control my life. Is there a way to do that? Thank you. So first thing you have to do, if you want to do this properly, you're obviously going to have to put away the toys for a bit. Put away the toys so you can begin to become more clear-headed. That's number one. Delete all those videos you have on your phone, the corn videos and pictures, delete them off your phone. Go on your Instagram as well and your Facebook. Instagram and Facebook for sure. And even TikTok. Unfollow all of the people you are following that trigger your brain in that corn way, okay? Same thing I would advise for guys, right? Because even sometimes, see, if you're in the place where you're allowing it to be on your phone, sometimes you'll bring it into other parts of your world, right? You'll have maybe not necessarily you're following a corn star, but you follow someone that triggers that part of your brain, right? They're always posting shirtless stuff, or they're always making sexual commentary or sexual jokes, right? All of this stuff will trigger you. You need to clear all of that out. Unfollow those people. You need to clear that off of your camera roll. Don't put it in your hidden folder. Delete it off your phone, go to your recently deleted and delete it out of there, okay? So it's not accessible to you whatsoever, okay? Clear your browsing history so it's not available to you. No pop-ups should be on your phone, right? Then what you need to then do, obviously you're gonna put the toy away, you're not gonna be masturbating for a period of time. Give yourself at least 1 month to get yourself back on track. And during this 1 month, what I want you to focus on doing with your extra time is figuring out what would you love to do that even if someone wasn't paying you for it, you would still do it because you love it that much. There is something out there for you that is that. Trust me, I don't care who you are. There is something other than sitting around and playing with yourself. There's something out there for you that gives you so much joy in life that you literally wouldn't care if someone ever paid you to do it because you just love it that much. That is the thing that I want you to discover for yourself, because I promise you, you will stop feeling like the world is a scam when you can start doing the thing that you love doing. It'll bring you so much fulfillment. You won't care about what company you're working for. You might even decide to work for yourself, but the hours you spend, the dedication you have, the effort that you put in will not feel like a scam. You'll feel like, I am so happy doing this thing and I am so blessed to do this thing because I love doing this thing. When you find that, and then eventually you cultivate that skill to the point where you can actually start generating income from that skill and that passion, that's when you'll be in the it's like a perfect triangle. It's like a holy trinity where you will feel so good about your life and so centered in what you're supposed to be doing. Sorry about that, chat. You'll feel so good about your life and so centered in what you're supposed to be doing that none of this will feel, it won't feel as hard or as daunting of a task to wake up and say, okay, I have to go to work now. Okay, I have to do this now. Okay, I have to do that now. Instead, you'll wake up and you'll be excited about the next thing you get to do, the next thing you get to figure out, the next thing you get to work on because you love that so much. And trust me, that thing out there, that thing for you is out there. So don't think you don't have one. You have one, but it requires exploring and trying new things and even trying some things that you'll eventually hate to figure out what that thing is. Okay. Right. Someone said this could have been simply stated, I have a corn addiction. How do I stop? It's not as simple as that for her. Because the corn addiction is actually a microcosm for a larger issue, which is finding your purpose and the things that you're passionate about, that you don't fall victim to temptation, like, watching corn all the time or just getting into a whole bunch of nefarious stuff that will hold you back from being able to actually discover what that purpose is. You understand what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with being horned up, but if you find that being horned up is getting in the way of you being successful in life or being a successful member, citizen of society, and holding you back from your full potential, then you're too far gone, right? We have to do a little bit of pulling back here to recalibrate, right? Because that shouldn't be how it is. You can be horned up without it taking over your life, right? So let's hop into our next question. So let me do at least a couple of these that I missed. How to rebound from cheating. Okay, so let's do that. and then we'll do first date questions. Although I think I did first date questions once. Okay, how to rebound from cheating. Let me make sure I scroll down, and I'm aware of this now. Scroll down as far as I can go. How to rebound from cheating. So is this oh, let me do this. This is probably why this is happening. So I'll do sort view. I'll do this and then go back to date posted, list view. Okay, now let's see. It's so strange how this happens. Can I state cheating? Okay, how to rebound from cheating. There we go. Just there we go. Just says, I hope you're here. How to rebound from cheating has not been read yet. Hi, Tomisin. After hearing your take on the whole Wizard Liz and Landon scandal, I had some questions about trying to continue a relationship after cheating. Before I saw your take, I was also telling my friends that she would like to... Wait, what? After I saw your take, I was also telling my friends that she would likely stay with him. Oh, but just to keep their relationship low profile / more private. Now you're talking about the Wizard Liz. So I agree with you in what you said, just based on the fact that she's pregnant and how she's currently acting. Questions. Do you think men can stop cheating if you take them back? Or if you leave and take them back, will they feel more empowered to continue their bad behavior since you took them back? Be 100% honest. I think that it can actually be both. I know that's not the answer you want to hear. You want to hear black and white. But I think that there are scenarios in which a man can feel regret for cheating on his woman and realize what he has lost by losing that woman, and then actually say, okay, you know what? I'm going to fix up and I'm going to tighten up and I'm not going to make the same mistake that I did last time. And I'm going to be more communicative about my feelings and not let things go too far, or stop drinking or stop whatever the case, right? I think that's possible. Do I think it happens more often than guys having their girl take them back and then them doing the same thing? No, I think that it more often than not, what happens is the girl will take them back and they usually don't have proper appreciation for her because she's not actually gone, and then they end up doing the same thing over again. So it's really both. It can happen in both scenarios. How would you punish a man for cheating if you do take them back? I obviously wouldn't suggest taking them back, as I believe that is a dodge bullet before joining into the commitment of marriage with them. But if I was married with kids, for example, I would drop to like 99% chance that I would leave my husband versus the 100% absolute chance that I would completely leave my boyfriend or fiance, if I'm being completely honest. There's nothing wrong with that. That's honestly most people, even guys. But I would never tell my future husband that, obviously. Let's also have a real conversation for a second. Cheating is bad, and all of us would love to believe that if someone cheated on us, we just walk away right away. I'm mature enough to understand that's not always going to be the case, and in not every scenario is someone going to do that. That's just the reality of life. We're human beings. We can't be robots, okay? So the reason I say that is I don't want you to think that my expectation of you is to be some sort of robot that like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just going to, as soon as the guy cheats, I'm going to 100% leave. Like, he's going to get no chance. Of course, ideally, yeah. In a perfect world, yeah. Is that actually what's going to happen if it happens? Probably not, okay? And that's okay. We're all human beings. Now, as it relates to dealing with this, though, if you really wanted to punish a man, he has to really feel like you're gone. And the only way for him to feel like you're gone, he can't be hearing from you. He can't see you. He has to feel like you're moving out your stuff. You should be moving out your stuff. You should be not staying with him. You should be not speaking to him. He should feel like he has lost you. You don't have to start dating people in front of him necessarily. You don't have to start sleeping with other new guys or anything like that. But he should feel like you're out of his life. He should feel like damn near nothing is working. And what should be happening is over the course of weeks, he should be constantly reaching out to you, trying to be like, hey, just checking up on you. Hey, just wanted to drop off this. Hey, just wanted to show you that I care and make sure that you're okay, right? And slowly but surely, after the course of him weeks and maybe even months going by of him consistently reaching out and being apologetic and trying to get something out of you, then you give him slowly but surely a little bit. But for that first, at least 2 weeks, he shouldn't hear nothing from you. And he should really feel like you're gone. And only after that should you start giving him even a little bit to make him feel like, okay, if you want to come over, like he's begging to come over or something, begging to like drop off flowers or begging to just send you an apology, whatever, you can come, right? And if you want to apologize or whatever the case may be, right? Things like that where you could just ease into allowing him to continuously show you how sorry and apologetic he is. That's how I would do it if I was advising you. But he has to feel like you're gone at least for a couple of weeks. Okay. So your next question says, but I always imagine that if God forbid that did happen and I decide to take him back, I would likely react by demanding a large sum of money. No. You do not ever want to make a guy feel like the way to apologize to you or the way to get you to forgive him is by throwing money at you. If you start equating your heart to money and start making him feel like the way to get you to forgive him is money, he will learn that from you because you're teaching him that. And then anything that happens, he will just throw money at you. You'll think that's cool for a bit, right? When you're getting a Chanel bag, you're getting some nice gifts, some nice shoes, until you realize he's not actually going to change his behavior. He's not actually even going to be apologetic. He's just going to do whatever he wants to do. And then he's going to throw money at you whenever you find out. And you'll still be traumatized. In fact, you'll be more traumatized that way because you'll have those gifts. And then at a certain point, you'll almost resent yourself because you'll be like, I don't even care about these gifts because these gifts mean nothing because I hate you so much. And I'm crying every night. And yeah, cool, I have these gifts, but I would love for you to just actually be sorry. And that's what I'm saying. It'll actually spiral out of control in a way where you'll hate the situation even more for feeling like you traded in your heart and your emotions for some cash. It's just money. Trust me, it's just money. Like anywhere from 25,000s to millions of dollars, depending on his net worth. I'm telling you, as someone with money is not going to change your life. I mean that from the standpoint of it's not, don't think that the happiness you receive from receiving a large sum of money is going to substantially change your happiness. If you don't have happiness without money, you will not magically gain a whole bunch of happiness without money. People forget that wealth is also having like a wealthy and rich life and an abundant life. Yes, money can buy you freedom, but money really does not buy you happiness. I really mean that. Money gets you freedom for sure. And freedom can make you happier. But you will eventually return back to your baseline. In the sense that if you don't address the things that were bringing you a whole bunch of unhappiness, the relationships, the connection. We all need human connection no matter how much money we have. We all need relationships no matter how much money we have. We all need intimacy and romance no matter how much money we have. So I just don't want you to be so obsessed with money that you think that that's some sort of solution to your trauma. Okay, like basically an unblocking fee, where just for him to even get the chance to talk to me and be unblocked, he would have to pay me first, and that doesn't even guarantee I will reconcile with him. It will sound like you're money hungry, and in the future he will throw money at you to solve problems. I promise you, you don't want a relationship where your man throws money at you to solve problems. Sounds cool in a Wattpad story, but I promise you it won't feel as good as you're imagining on the 5th time you get cheated on. I promise you. Okay. And I would likely also make him start our whole relationship from the very beginning, like literally from the first date, because the way I see it, infidelity completely changes your relationship and you'll never be able to have the same relationship back. So you have to start from scratch and prove that you could regain my trust. And then if any man is not willing to do all that, then they aren't serious about getting their wife back, to be honest. The last part I would agree with you on, right? What do you think? What would you say is a reasonable way to punish a man and make him beg and completely work to regain you back in his life? I feel like it could possibly work after cheating, if the man goes through literal hell to fight for the relationship back and he has to pay. But what do you think? Or do you think no amount of suffering will stop a man from redoing the same horrible decision of cheating? I think you can definitely show him that he has to really work to get you back into his life, which is perfectly fine, right? And justified. But I don't think that way is by paying for it. I think once you include money in some sort of like justification for like, oh, I'm sorry, so let me give you money, you will be missing the point, and you'll also have him missing the point of like, what are we doing here? Are we in a relationship about connection and romance, or are we, in a financial partnership where, if I cheat on you, I give you money? Trust me, you won't be as happy as you think. But I honestly would have to probably just leave him. To be honest, I don't care. I don't deal well with stress. I feel like my trust would never be 100% again. And I'd have to watch their every move. And I kind of do believe once a cheater, always a cheater thing when it comes to taking cheaters back. I feel like it makes them feel empowered and they got away with it, so they're more likely to do it again. Just be more sneaky about it. I just want to add that I hope she doesn't go back to him. And if he seems not to be taking any genuine accountability in his videos. You're talking about Landon and with the Wizard Liz in all of his responses, but I guess we will see. Also, I believe cheating stems from a significant moral flaw of character that usually can't be fixed. That's why I wouldn't take a man back or suggest someone do. There's actually a video we were going to watch today that was a breakdown of the Wizard Liz and some other creators by someone did like a mini series, analysis on it, which I thought was interesting, but we'll watch it on the next show. Actually, that's ironic that you said that. Let's hop into our next question. You said there was a few that I had missed. So yours was one. Let me see here. So just, okay, so this is another question. So we have to save these just because, let me make sure I save these, because I want to give other people a chance to get their questions read as well. Okay, so this one comes from Shyla. How to heal and forgive myself. Years of not valuing myself, sharing my story as a caution. Hi, I'm 29, single. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, D. His name is D, who's 26, 2 months ago. I want to share my story as caution because I did everything wrong in my relationship with men, and now I'm left heartbroken and empty. My first relationship started when I was 18 with my boyfriend V. I entered this relationship not being attached to this guy, simply because I wanted to be with someone, and I guess he did too. At least we kind of get along as friends, and this relationship lasted for 7 years, and we got engaged and lived together for 1 year. This relationship was not really romantic though. Oh, and he didn't want to go to work for like 5 years, and I paid for dates. When we were living together, I did almost all of the housekeeping, and we were 50-50 on money. Okay. Argued a lot, and even once in the middle of the night, he screamed that he hates me. I think all our neighbors heard that pretty well. I ended this trauma-bonded relationship only because I was in love with my now ex-D. So you just hop from one relationship to another, okay? Which I mentioned at the start. So I packed my things up and left, blocked V, and moved to my parents' house and chased after D. Slept at his place, hugging with him, eventually started sleeping with him. That's not a good way to move forward because this is the worst way to do it. And when I asked him if he was into me, he said no. That must have been painful. And I didn't give up. Guys, I laugh now, but back then I was traumatized after the breakup with V. My mother got cancer and I moved in with her. I was in such a bad mental health state that after work, I was only lying in bed, which makes it even worse. Oh, and I was a DRUG addict. Weed, K, shrooms, but fortunately, not the deadly stuff. D was a drug addict too, okay? That's even what we talked about today, being a bad influence. And like all my friends were as well. So I was chasing after D, sleeping with him when he wanted. He was really a black cat and a prize I was just hunting. I think he might say he wasn't really a black cat and a prize. I was just hunting. And once I let go, he stated he has no feelings for me. I started meeting with his best friend and also my good friend and sleeping with him. So we're not learning here? Then suddenly D fell in love And yeah, I went straight into his arms. Was with him 3 years. We even were thinking about getting engaged. Huh? He was very passive. Most initiative came from me. He didn't put in much effort in our relationship. He didn't really care about me. He didn't cherish me. He was distant emotionally. He didn't have work because he was studying and pursuing a music career, which didn't happen. I'm laughing because everyone says they want to be a rapper. Lazy. I was depressed most of the relationship, even on the verge of unaliving, and constantly needed his support. Mostly, it looked like venting and trauma dumping. He didn't prioritize me or us. Almost no dates, low effort, low quality. Before I broke up with him, he even confessed that for most of our relationship, he was kind of ashamed that we were together. Wow. Like WTF. I gave him affection, my body, my time, and effort. I adored him and gained almost nothing in return. So sad. Fortunately, while in the relationship, I was actively looking for ways to heal my mental health issues and work on myself. So I quit the stuff. He didn't. Attending therapy, I was pursuing my own goals, and finally I gained enough self-worth that I disrespected myself for so long to be trashy with men, to be okay with below the bare minimum. I saw very poor decision making, and I broke up with him. I'm still proud of myself. Let's give you a round of applause, okay? I'm glad you made that realization there, because that's a tough realization to make there, okay? I'm still proud of myself that I did that, because we were thinking about a future together, to get engaged, live together, and I invested 3 intense years of my life to be with him. So now, honestly, I suffer a pain of missing him, and at the same time, knowing that this was toxic and harmful to me. Crying every day for 2 months. I tied loose ends. I don't talk to him. I unfollowed him. I blocked him. I deleted all of our pictures. I got rid of all of his things. Now I deal with empty emotions of emptiness, restlessness, longing, anger, and I can't believe that I allowed such poopy things to be in my life. I don't know how to move out of this shock and conflicting feelings, how to forgive myself for harming myself for so long. Guys, respect yourself. Not doing that can cost you your life. Update, I don't cry anymore, and it gets a little bit better every day. See, I actually love this for that reason. This is great. This is a great example of human experience. This message was sent on June 13th, 2025. What's today? Today is now July 14th, right? So this was sent about a month ago. And this update came on June 20th. So it's crazy, right? You can feel like this one day, right? June 13th. And 1 week later on June 20th, right? You feel better. Where it's like, okay, you know what? It was tough. I was going through it. Now I'm still going through it. But every day is not the worst day ever. And, I would love for you to give an update, Sheila, because now we're in, basically a month later. It's amazing how you just have to take it one day at a time. And, when you're going through something like this too, the worst thing for you to do is think too far down the line. That's the worst thing. What you have to do is just on a daily basis, you wake up today, you say, okay, I'm going to do 3 things to make myself feel good, right? I'm going to do one thing for like my mental health, like my physical health, right? Maybe go to the gym, do some yoga, sit in the sun, whatever. I'm going to do one thing for my mental health, journal, write, go for a walk, whatever the case you want to do, right? And then I'm going to do another thing just for my overall happiness, to give myself some pleasure, some happiness, maybe go out with some friends, talk to some people on the phone, spend some time with your family, whatever the case may be, right? And just pick like 3 things that you want to do for you and stick to those 3 things, right? That don't consist of sit in the house and watch, Netflix and be sad, right? Something like actionable. And all you have to do is focus on each and every day. And I promise you, because I've been there, I've been through heartbreak as well. And you think that, wow, I'll never get over this person. I'll never not think about this person. I'll never, be in a place where I don't want to not be with this person. But I promise you, as the days go by, one day you'll look back and you'll be like, I don't think I thought of that person all day yesterday. And that first day that you realize that's like the first day of the rest of your life, okay? The first day that you go through a breakup and you realize that the previous day you basically didn't think about them at all, That's the biggest shocker, because then you know you're really getting somewhere, because every day is not like the worst day ever anymore, and every day you're not spending every second thinking about the person, and even things that used to remind you of them don't even remind you of them anymore, right? And that's an amazing place to be, because now your future is very bright, in the sense that as the days go on and you get better mentally and you grow more and more and more, you get closer to being able to find your desired relationship and the type of partner that you've been wanting, and eventually end up with the type of guy and in the type of relationship that you've always desired. Okay, just one day at a time, one day at a time. Okay, all right, chat. That's the show for today. For any of you who have questions for me, feel free to ask them, I should say, in the free section or our premium section or our private relationship hotline, if you want to do that as well. Okay. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just in the description there. You can find it there and follow me at Tomisin_Atub. For those of you who want to figure out when I'm live every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might push the time back, though. I'll let you guys know what the updated time is, but I'm probably going to be on later than 4 p.m. now, just because traffic's making it impossible for me to get there at 4 p.m., but I'll keep you guys updated on that, okay? But for now, it's Thursday, and Thursday and Friday at the afternoon in Eastern Time, I'm going to be on live, okay? Unless I specifically say I'm canceling the show, okay? All right. Someone said push back the time, be realistic, Tommy. I got to be realistic. What's a realistic time? Maybe 6? Maybe 6? I'll have to see, because then I'll be ending really late on these days, okay? I'll confirm, and then I'll come up with a new time, all right? All right, chat, I love you so much, so much. I'll see you guys again on Thursday. Yeah, I'll see you again on Thursday. And until we meet again, I bid you adieu, arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, sayonara, ciao, bounty. Arrivederci. I think I said that already. Adios. Bon voyage. I do it with my left hand. I'm supposed to do it with my right hand. And I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.